We have art tracing in the My Hero Academia fandom, guys. This was the call-out posted on Twitter on April 21st, posted by Egos Golden 34. Egos writes, "Hello, to those that read this, we are not happy with making this, nor did we want to make this. But after seeing what GSony24 has been doing, we felt it wouldn't be right to stay quiet. GSony24 has traced multiple pieces, most being the ones she sells as prints. Proof and thread." So Egos continues, "Before we get into it, we want to add some disclaimers. We contacted her before creating this post, and she did reply. However, she made no claims that she would let her supporters know about the issue, and since the private message, she has been taking down artworks. Tracing can help artists with their anatomy, and it's okay when permission is given from the artist. She has also traced real-life photos, which is fine. However, it becomes extremely problematic when these artworks are posted online solely as G-Sony's creations and are also being sold." These are the DMs between what looks to be Egos and Sunny. So we can see like Sunny, Sony up at the top. Egos sends over the graphic, and we'll see the graphic in a second, kind of showing the side by side between Sony's works and other works that it looks like Sony has traced. So Egos writes, "Hello, G Sony. This is to address multiple of your previous My Hero Academia artworks. Not just me, but multiple people online have
Yeah.
noticed your constant tracing of other artists' works, and the most frequently used artist, Reno Tuna. Tracing can help artists develop their anatomy skills in many ways. You also trace real life photos, which is fine. However, when it comes to tracing other artists' work and passing it off as completely your own publicly, it's highly unacceptable. Not only that, but you have and are planning to make more money off of their hard work with the selling of your prints at multiple anime conventions. This is not right at all. Please address it with your fanbase immediately. Here is 1 to 3 examples in an image so you see what I mean. You're clearly a great artist, but not truthful with your followers. I'm coming to you so that somebody else does not publicly come out with this in a mean way. I've seen it happen too many times, and quite frankly, you have used other artists' works way too much, and that's bound to come out soon." And Sony responds, "Firstly, this was genuinely such a wake-up call and a very nice and straightforward response. Sometimes when I struggle to draw, I do look up poses on Pinterest and go off what I see and reference pieces. But you're right, I am being very disrespectful towards the other artists and not crediting where it's due, and that is unacceptable, especially when I am selling stuff at that. Thank you for speaking up and messaging me. You were very polite and patient in explaining something that is clearly frustrating, and I'm grateful for that. It is really late for me when I'm seeing
I
this,
hate
so
these
sorry
kinds
if
of
the grammar
talks,
is
God.
bad
I
or
hate
doesn't
this.
make sense. I didn't want to leave you hanging. I'll
Shit's
message you
stupid.
again when I wake up and give a more thorough response.
Can you
I really
guys hear
appreciate you speaking up about this and telling me
the
directly, man.
reaction
I
video?
genuinely do need to reflect and do better." Sony's response seems very mature, seems very well put together and well spoken. So I
Oh,
respect the way they responded, right? They weren't defensive. They immediately owned up and they recognized, yeah, it was wrong, da 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 da. I'll respond later. So Egos responds, "I'm glad you understand where I'm coming from. Please from here stop with the tracing. From looking at your rendering and coloring, it's clear you have the skill when it comes to digital art, which is why I'm quite confused as to why you've used other people's artworks in this way. I understand it's quite late for you in your time zone. You can reply when it's morning." And then Egos writes, "I never received a response. She just began to delete artworks from her Instagram and Twitter. She seems to recognize how wrongful her actions were, yet she has not indicated any intention to inform her supporters about this or halt the sale of her artworks." So here are some pieces that were deleted. These were the pieces that were accused of being traced, and we'll see it in the next graphic. And then in this photo that is attached, Egos is basically showing Sony's Instagram page where you can see Sony is selling a lot of these artworks at conventions. These are almost all of these photos are from different conventions, right? Just look at the booth setup, different convention, different convention, different convention. So you can see that Sony is profiting off of this. And there is always a debate when it comes to art tracing because people are like, it's just tracing to learn, da 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 da. I feel like
then
a
don't
lot of
post it.
artists do share my same sentiment where if you
Like, it's okay to trace, but if it's okay to trace if you're trying to learn something specifically, trying to understand a certain shape, and you just can't get it down. But it's not. It doesn't make sense to actually post it. That shit makes no sense. You'll get caught anyway. So
trace to learn, that's chill. Don't post it. The public should never see it. You should never claim it's yours. And most definitely, you should not sell it. That is like the worst of the worst. By selling works at a convention that are traced, really bad. But there is a debate as to whether the works are traced at all or whether the works are heavily referenced. And that is something that commenters will debate. Egos adds image proof above of the many of Sony's artworks we found to be traced from artists online. Her supporters across all platforms where the artwork has been shared, including Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, must be informed. You're entitled to sell your artworks, just don't sell the traced stuff. You know, in the past, historically, even amongst painters back in the day, they would replicate paintings to study. It is a known technique to learn. You just don't claim that you drew the Mona Lisa, you know? That's where we start drawing the line. And then Egos continues, I urge the tracing and sale of her plagiarized works are stopped immediately. This is the only pieces we found hard proof of tracing. There are other pieces she has traced. G Sony 24 has entered and won an art contest with one of her pieces, but it is unclear if it's traced. Judging with her history of tracing, it's not something we can rule out. When an artist is caught tracing multiple times, a trust is broken and credibility is lost. It is now not clear if one of her pieces aren't traced. And then Egos attaches the side-by-side photos. Here we have a side-by-side. So this is Sony's artwork of Todoroki. The last time I watched My Hero Academia was like 2 years ago. And then we have this art piece, and you see it's they're stretching the arm. And there are some differences, right? Like Todoroki's head is a little bit different, just a little bit in terms of the head position. OG art by Reno Tuna. Reno is like the one that Sony traces almost all of their artwork from. That's what it looks to be, anyways. But look at the way the arms overlap. And I want you to look at the shading of the muscles in the forearm. Look at the shading. How come the shading even overlaps one to one? Like the rendering is identical. Now look at the side by side. This one is a little bit more of a stretch, but the body shape here, everything, the shoulder. So this side is a little bit harder to tell because Bakugo has the piece around his neck that kind of obstructs some stuff. The shoulder shape, all of that is the same. Oh my god, yeah, the clothing wrinkles as well, one to one. Like it's as if Sony is stealing the rendering too. Like not even the body pose, whatever, but the rendering too. And then we have Uraka. Sorry, I'm so bad at pronouncing the names. Uraraka, another art piece by Rito. And then look at the
Uraraka.
middle, the shoulders. Just look at the shape of the shoulders, the shape of the arms, etc. All of that one to one. There were a lot of people in the comment section that were like, this is just referencing. Do I need to explain to you that if your artwork lines up one to one with another person's artwork, you traced it? If you took somebody's artwork and you drew over it and then you claimed it as your own, you traced it. Doesn't matter if you traced only a part of it. Like with the Bakugo one, it was mainly the torso and the shoulder. The Todoroki one, the majority of the portion that was traced for that one was the arms, right? The arm stretching. I'm here to tell you, if you trace a part of it, you still traced, okay? That's like the equivalent of me saying, if I go to a jewelry store and they're selling earrings that's hanging there, out of a set of earrings, right? So there's two, one for each ear. If I only take one and walk away without paying, I still stole. I didn't steal the entire set, but I still stole, okay? And I think there was a commenter in the comment section that had great example of this. Here we have it's Emily writing, to the people who still don't get it, here's what an actual reference looks like. None line up one to one. So here, right, this is the thread. This is an art piece by An Eclipse at Dusk. They're kind of
Guys,
like, basically,
I don't know
it's like two
what's
people
with.
cuddling. The reference, right? Two people cuddling. Oh, yeah,
I
it's
don't
not,
know what's
you
the
know,
obsession of having
overlapping.
these
Like
boys
a lot
cuddle
of
half
differences
the time. I
here.
don't know
See what
what's
I mean by
up with that
reference? You
bullshit.
don't trace it. Even the text bubbles don't line up, is what I wanted to indicate, right? Now, the second thing is a lot of people were in the saying in the comment section, oh, it's just a pose. Nobody owns a pose. Yeah, you don't own the pose, but you own the art of the pose. Like the
That's fucked
pose of
up.
somebody flexing. Duh, nobody owns the pose of somebody flexing. But if you drew a character flexing, you own the drawing of that. That logic isn't flying here. Same thing, the color palettes, right? Yeah, nobody owns a color palette, but if you go to somebody's artwork and color select every single fucking color off their artwork and use it in your piece, come on, bro. Can we please be a little bit more original? My theory as to why so many people are defending this artist, which we often don't see in cases of art tracing with a lot of substantial proof like this, and when the artist kind of admits it, they said referencing, but they admitted they did something wrong, is because it's a
Hmm.
fandom that is near and dear to your heart and you enjoy consuming the artwork. So therefore, you don't want to
You guys can
acknowledge
hear
that
the
the
video,
artist did
right?
something wrong because then ethically you shouldn't consume the work anymore. So that's my
I'm
theory
pretty
as to
sure you can
why
hear
in
it.
this case specifically there are so many people defending the artist, which I
Jolly Incher
rarely
says
ever
yes.
see. But we have more threads with some more
I'm talking about on
clarification that
YouTube,
I
I'm
really
sorry.
appreciate. This is posted
I
by
know on
glitter
TikTok you
underscore
can
on
hear it.
Twitter, who goes by glitter writing. I think a bigger issue than the tracing here is that painted parts have been lifted from the original artist's artwork. For
Hello.
example, on Shoto's arm, you can see the shading is the exact same, except it's been overlaid with a lighter tone. There's more examples too. So here you can see the side by side. That was the thing I was pointing out earlier. Look at the rendering. Look at the rendering of the arm. Look at the curvature of this
Okay.
brushstroke to make out the shape of the elbow. How come that is like the exact same? Either they're like directly painting over or they literally cut and paste. Look at the shape of the fingers too. The rendering of the fingers. Why
Jolly
is this
Incher
so
says
similar?
wow.
Even the rendering of the knuckles. The way that Reno rendered the knuckles, it's like they're kind of like squares, you know, kind of like little squares. How come that is also replicated in Shoto's hand. So Glitter continues, on the shirt you can still see these small details with the shading from the original
Wow,
artist's
they're
work.
just
For
one to
example,
one.
these little lines they drew. The fingers are also completely lifted with a lighter tone on top. Next is Bakugo's shirt in another piece. So
They're
this is
almost
the
one to
original
one.
work. Take a look at the wrinkles in the shirt, and there's some hatch marks that this artist draws with. So look at the hatch marks. Also, you can find the hatch marks on the arm as well. And here, look at the wrinkles in the shirt where that hatching is also present in Sony's work. And then onto Bakugo's shirt, Glitter adds, I've circled some examples here of what the shirt has been lifted and not edited. There's probably more, but this was just a quick look of the piece. I'm not sure if there's more of this sort of thing on other pieces of art because I haven't checked, but I wouldn't be surprised. They're literally coloring over the artwork. Look at that. Look at the wrinkles at the armpit here.
Drippy Rick says
Amazing. Look at
WSP
the
bro.
diagonal wrinkles across the body. It literally looks like they
What's
took
up,
the
bro?
piece and painted over it. This is like
Timber.
beyond tracing. Glitter continues, just a reminder, it's not cool to steal from other artists. I know people are saying it's just a pose and anyone can do it, but tracing it line for line from another artist is just not cool. There's plenty of 3D models that could help with poses if you need an alternative. Just want to make something clear because I've seen quote retweets that are saying this is more evidence of tracing. This is actually straight up stealing the work. Never mind tracing, they took the art and added a layer over on Photoshop and altered the tones. They didn't recreate the shading, little lines, stuff like that. They took the previous work and overlaid it with their own colors. So this is literally art theft, not tracing. Yeah, this is like crazy art theft, honestly. Painting over somebody else's work. So here we have a commenter writing, God damn, she's been a popular artist in the My Hero Academia fandom for years. It's disappointing to see this because she can obviously draw and draw very well. I don't understand why she'd choose to trace and steal like that. Glitter continues, I think she was cutting corners to save time and got lazy. Sometimes it's as simple as that. It's such a shame because they've got great skill. If they had more time and effort, they could have created these pieces without any stealing. So here we have another post. I'm gonna call them Peach because that's the emoji in their username or like in their nickname, but I don't know how to read their username. It's Bitchy Pig. I'm sorry. Peach writes, I don't know why people are denying this. And here, beautiful, right? Peach basically drew over the reference and then like overlapped it with the piece that Sony made. So you can literally see how overlaid it is. Look at this reference, right? And then look at Bakugo. Why is it like one to one? Excuse me. Even the shading of the pecs are the same. Again, nobody owns this like low angle upshot pose. Draw it yourself, bro. Don't trace over the work. Look at the side by side. Oh, and this one again, the Shoto arm one. The only thing is the
They're
shoulder
one to
is a
one,
little
bro.
cropped off in the actual image. It could have extended more, honestly. It's just
That's
cropped a little bit.
crazy.
Why is it one to one? Then we have this big old thread posted by Twitter user Fezzo65337, who goes by Ho. What is that? What is that? He even cut up Horikoshi's art and pasted it together to make it look like their own. Like, be serious. So yeah, this is Sony. This is also Sony's work, and this is Hori's work, as you can see written here for some clarification. But the copy and pasting of somebody's rendering, wild. To do that and then sell it for profit is crazy. Ho has more side by sides for us. Look at this one. This is from Hori. Okay, these are some panels. And then look at Sony's. Look at all of the elements that are traced. Ho is, by the way, putting in the God's work for this. Look at this background. It's literally cut from this background in Hori's work. Like the clothing shading is just cut and pasted from Hori's work, just blended together. This is so bad. And this one is the worst one. And this one reads, there should be more to this picture, but I'm too lazy to find it. Jigsaw Master. And if I understand correctly, the context to this is this background piece is Sony's piece that Sony entered into an art contest. But take a look at this. Look at the hair. Look at the hair for both of them. So this piece, she won the worldwide contest picked by Horikoshi himself when she cut and pasted his work. Her submission? Jail. Jail. So here, this piece, Ho
Wait,
writes, I don't even know
what?
which parts.
Wait, what? She won a contest that was handpicked by Horikoshi himself, not knowing that the work that she handpicked the not knowing that the work that she handpicked was his work that she stole that she kind of like, I don't know, photo bashed, I guess. Is that what it is? I think. Um Are you kidding me, bro? That is crazy. Horikoshi Horikoshi roared his own work without realizing it. That was funny. That's funny.
were drawn by her, I almost died of laughter when I put the
That's
jigsaw puzzle
crazy.
together. Oh my god. Look at Bakugo. Just cut and pasted from Reno's work and Hori's
That's
work. That's
fucking
crazy.
crazy,
So
dude.
Hori quote retweeted
I can't. I can't. That's the. I can't. Like, bro, what does that? I don't know what to think of that. That is so weird.
At some people's posts. Ku or Ku
Oh my
Spikery
god.
writes, I found this while scrolling through Pinterest. Couldn't find the original artist, so please comment if you found them. But here we have Sony's work, the Pinterest pieces. Dude, this is literally the same with like an overlay on it. That's like the only difference. Ku writes, it genuinely looks like she just morphed the original drawings and drew Deku on top. And if you take a closer look, the rendering is chopped
I
up.
don't understand when you. I get it, but I don't get it. Like I honestly believe I'm not even gonna kid. I'm not even gonna play bullshit. I honestly believe that if majority of anime characters were literally real, like personality wise, if their personalities were real, like if they were real people, I know for a fact I have this overwhelming feeling that majority of you will not like them. I'm just under that impression that majority of you will not like them. Oh, oh, thank you. I appreciate it, Black Prism. Thank you, bro. Thank you. I didn't see that one coming, but thank you. Um, it's always those type of Oh my god, those type of messages. Hello. But I'm under the impression that majority of you who like certain anime characters, I don't think if they was real, I don't think majority of you will actually like them for who they are. I think majority of you will hate them most of the time, especially someone like Bakugo and Luffy. I think Luffy and Bakugo will be the most hated people on the planet. Straight up. I'm not even kidding. Because they're too honest. They're very aggressive in their own way, right? And most of you cannot handle that. So I know for a fact that if Bakugo was actually real and he was telling you the business, majority of you will cancel him on motion, on spite, on sight. I'm dead serious. Most of you just think he's cute because it's a cartoon, and some of you may find him a bit attractive. But majority of you, I'm telling you, most of you saying you're a Bakugo fan, if he was literally real, you would hate him.
Up into pieces in some areas and pasted onto her art. Yeah, it looks like it's just this but mirrored. Like it was flipped and then used here. Even like the shading, the seam in the back of the shirt and then the crisscross here.
Yeah, Deku would be annoying because he's too like whiny all the time. Same thing with like Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. Luffy will be too damn honest and don't give a flying fuck. Like Luffy is the type of person who will call you the N word and not give a fuck, straight up. Same thing with Bakugo. He'll do the same thing, pretty much, pretty much, pretty much.
Here, like the bend here. And the pants is 1-to-1. I think like zero modifications happen to the pants, honestly. Look at this. Ku adds another one. It's too funny. The OG artist is Shendoshi9. I'll link the original post below. Here we have the side by side. Remember this one, this piece, we already saw this one in what Ho showed. The whole piece is cut and pasted, but even the pose was traced off of another work. And then this is Shendoshi's actual piece. And Ku adds, also disclaimer, I definitely don't think people should march over and send hate to her. That really isn't mature. But considering Sony is a
And not only that, it's like even, and plus not only that, if Bakugo saw half the shit you guys draw him in with Deku, he will probably deck all of you. And I don't think he'd give a fuck if you was a female too. I think he'll put his hands on majority on you. I think Bakugo will put his hands on majority of you. I don't think he gives a flying shit if you was a woman or not, too. Remember what when he fought Uraraka and everyone got mad at him because he was not letting her win or some stupid shit, and then I think it uh yeah, much much yeah, majority of most anime characters are insane. The only reason why I think most people run with most of these personalities is because one, it's a cartoon to a degree, and they're stylized in a way that makes it pleasing to look at, and they're silly in their own way, so you can kind of forgive it. But if they were real actual people, like real people, because there's real people right now who tells the truth and you see they get canceled almost up the wazoo, right? Whether they're taking insane takes and stuff. Let's use a perfect example. You see how we don't like Johnny Somali or Somali or what his name is? He's actually quite honest in the bullshit he's doing. Like he's doing it on purpose to get a reaction, right? That's and he said it. He said he's a sociopath. He's this. He's that. He's doing it for clout, for money. Blah blah blah. If Luffy had a conversation with you in a way that he doesn't like, he will call you any name that came to his head, and he doesn't give a fuck. And then he will fight you on sight. And he has nothing. And I don't think he's past putting his hands on women too. So like, if you piss this man off, he might put his hands on you just because you said something he didn't like. Depending, because we have seen Luffy have restraint when he was being made fun of for the whole like if the One Piece was real with what's his face back at the docks. You know what I'm talking about, when Zoro and Luffy did not fight in the bar. So we know he has restraint, but like that's a that is a personal situation that he knew he couldn't really fight because he was not truly sure on the fact that the One Piece was truly real. It was just like a myth to a degree, I believe. So that's why he didn't want to fight on something that wasn't real. It was something that kept him going. So yeah, no, yep. So that's why when I know what people are just doing it because they like the characters and I get that, but when you really truly think about it, majority of you would not fuck with these people. Hello.
Grown adult like the rest of us, I think accountability needs to take place. As an artist myself, it's very disheartening to see this. I do agree too. Again, the whole point is not send hate to Sony, you know? It's just awareness because dude, what the F? So here we have this post that Ka put together, the side by side, another piece of Bakugo versus
And the thing is, Reno Tuna is one of my favorite artists in the world. I love how he does rendering. I love how his rendering is so stylized.
Brightroclose says good evening everyone.
Hello, Bry. I like how his rendering is so stylized in a way that makes it so unique. He has such a art style and painting style that's just so unique. You can't replicating it is like almost impossible. He has a way of. I even bought one of his courses, and I'm still trying to learn it to this day. And of painting, and that's how much I like the artist. That's how much I like his art. I actually bought a course from him, and I don't buy like shit just because I like an artist. I really enjoy his work. I love all his renderings. I love all his pieces. All of them. There's not a single one I don't have a problem with. All of them are so stylized, so like semi-realistic. It pushes like that anime but extremely realistic boundaries that it seems so different. Like even when he's doing this line art alone, he has a stylization of like geometric shapes that are just so sharp, but yet also so like soft at the same time. It's hard to explain. But if you go to his Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if he has a Twitter, but like, no, I think he has a Twitter. But like, if you check his Instagram page, oh my god, you can't stop and look at his work. You can't. You just admire it, and that's what I want to get to that level in like rendering, because my rendering is not there. My line art, I think from a scale 1 to 10 is a good 8, but it's not 10 as much as I want it to be, because you can see that the line art's not it doesn't look amateurish, but it can look way better than it is now. So I I really admire his work. I really love his work. And I try to learn what the Koreans do. Like the one thing that I noticed that the Koreans do very well than the Japanese, in my opinion, is that rendering is on point. They have a rendering style that is so insane, it's not even funny. They really work on the idea of semi-realism with Japanese like art styles. They're more like stylized line art if you think of it that way, or style like but with stylized painting, but like with okay, let me put this: the Japanese does like a stylized painting, but with the Koreans they have a stylized semi-realistic painting style, if that makes sense. So that's what it feels like to me.
reference piece and you can see, look at the shading on the back. This original piece has this like V cut in the scapula and that same shading is present in the back. it's literally paintovers of somebody else's work. Like this is worse than tracing because this is literally theft. They just take people's pieces and then like cut and paste them together. And then we have anot11 post by Twitter user Donut11, but you can see just
Yeah.
the cut and paste that's going on again. It's
So
this hair
shame.
that's pasted onto the head. You know, look at this too, right? This hair was directly cut and pasted here, cut and pasted, and then it looks like they mirrored it and then used it for this head because the head is turned the other way. Like, how come everything lines up one to one? Twitter user KT0HRK adds some extra context about the cherry blossom piece, and they write the artist who is currently causing a stir in the overseas My Hero Academia community with his traced illustrations is the same artist who won a prize in the My Hero Academia World Fan Art Contest. Moreover, it looks like the illustration was cut and copied from Horikoshi Sensei's illustration. It's amazing it was chosen though. The Taiwanese artist I found is amazing, likely referring to Ho. Here we Whoa, what was that? Jesus. Twitter user Karen Ju or Lay adds, quote, they've posted time lapses before, end quote. I think you guys forget that G Sony uses Procreate, and there's a feature on there that allows users to add hidden images. And this is the demonstration of the hidden images in case you guys didn't know how to do that. So the
Thing is, for me, I don't use Procreate, never used it. But I say this thousands of times. Bry's heard me say this millions of times by now. I'm pretty sure he can quote me verbatim. But I always feel like um, when it comes to just Procreate per se, something about Procreate, in my opinion, feels like there's training wheels on, like a weird training wheels thing. I don't know why, but it feels like there's training wheels on. Like it's not, it's holding your hand to a degree, the software itself. I don't know why. Unlike the other programs that I know about from Photoshop, Fire Alpaca, Ibis Plate, all of them, Clip Studio Paint, all of them. For some weird reason, when it comes to Procreate, there feels like a weird training wheels type feeling with it. Like it's too beginner friendly to the point that it's beginner friendly, but it stays on that. It doesn't really try to push you to be too advanced. Is that a weird thing? I think that's something. If you get what I'm trying to say.
okay, Procreate is not a smoking gun. Just because somebody uses Procreate doesn't mean that they are tracing. But we do know that because Procreate has this hidden image feature, right? It's
Are you
dangerous in
serious?
which you can't really trust the time lapse if they post a time lapse as proof if Procreate is the program they draw in. Because you see the time lapse right there. We didn't see the reference photo that Lay added in. Not only traced, literally took people's artwork and painted
Oh, yeah, it's like a weird thing that kind of exists, but you can't really pinpoint. It's a strange thing.
directly
Wait, let
over
me go back
photo
real quick.
that
She
has this
said something that
doesn't
was
mean
important.
that they are tracing, but we do know that because Procreate has this hidden image feature, right? It's dangerous in which you can't really trust the time lapse if they post a time lapse as proof if Procreate is the program they draw in. Because you see the time lapse right there.
Oh,
We didn't see the reference
oh shit, that's crazy. I didn't know that was a thing. Holy shit! Because when I do my we call it my time lapse from my Clip Studio Paint, it records everything. So like if I put like an image in my like if I say I'm doing this drawing, right, and I put an image in said like the canvas and started drawing over it or anything, if I hit time lapse, it will show when the image comes in. It will show that, and then it will. If I turn down the opacity, it will show that too. So it's not like I can avoid it unless if I uh manually edit it out by using like CapCut or something. That's too much work to go do that. Just to, what I'm saying, you're better off just using a reference and using your mind's eye. You're better off doing that instead of putting it in there and then tracing over it and all that stuff. That shit makes no sense. Because anyway, you're going to be caught. Because if you're going to do a time lapse, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna show you putting it in there. I did not know that Procreate can do that. It can hide the image within the time lapse. That's crazy. Holy shit, that is crazy. I never heard of that before. What the fuck? Oh my god.
photo that Lay added in. Not only
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that. I didn't know you can actually do that. Holy shit!
Traced, literally took people's
I
artwork
learned
and
something
painted
today.
directly over the art piece and claimed it as their own. And they're really popular in the My Hero community. Yeah, and like everyone's defending them, by the way. I always wanted to clarify, like, just because you use Procreate doesn't mean that you're tracing. That's not what I'm trying to say. But if you are accused of tracing and that tracer, alleged tracer, happens to draw in Procreate and they post a speed painting to prove they didn't
Hello.
trace, that speed painting actually isn't really valid because Procreate is what they draw in, where you have that feature, you know? So we have this post as well. Oh my god. Twitter user Wendy or Wendy HBB writes, a few months ago, I found out that the OC she supposedly created is also the result of tracing, not just from photos, but from a really well-known artist too. And she traced the face perfectly. He's at coax_x on Instagram. For over 20 years, the world of fashion has loved Carmen Aureli, but her sights have now shifted onto the hero scene, particularly Japan's up and coming newest hero, Deku. Nah, this is wild, bro.
What?
Again, look at the veins in the hands. It's cut and pasted again. Can you just, bro? Dude, it looks like the skin of the face was also cut and pasted and that she just lined over it. Wendy adds, and I know y'all are okay with tracing photos because, like, no artist is being hurt, but it isn't just the pose. The clothes, the hairstyle, the colors, the makeup, the chair, shading, even the damn background with the text was traced. Do y'all get that? There's no difference. I mean, she didn't add anything that was genuinely hers to that OC. It's literally a 100% hand traced drawing. I don't know at what point you guys started normalizing tracing over photos or other arts. She isn't a beginner artist at the end. By the way, like, tracing photos is always a hotly debated topic, but in my personal opinion, I don't like the idea of tracing photos like to this degree unless you own the photo. You know, unless it's like a picture of yourself, then that's different. It's not your picture. The person is not you. The photographer is not you. You don't own anything about the photo. So if you directly trace it over like that, that's how I personally feel anyways. Right. If you want to like use a photo as a body reference, you loosely sketch out the lines of the pose and then you work on your own from there. You're
Uh-huh.
only using like it for rough blocking. You know, I think that's chill. Directly tracing limb to limb is crazy. So this one is less relevant to the tracing, but because I saw a post about this, I just wanted to cover this as well. But this is posted by Twitter user Crude Love or Rin writing, so apparently G Sony is also a scammer. So this is a DM
Hmm.
that looks to have been sent to Rin by Anonymous, so I'm just gonna call them redacted. Or wait, no, actually no, this is a TikTok video or something like that. Posted by Toto Zukus. I'm just gonna call this person redacted because we don't know who sent this. But redacted says this is gonna be a long story, so buckle up. I first became really good friends with Sony back in 2021 when I won her art contest for her 200K. This was when she had all the My Hero Academia accounts. She deleted those accounts and started fresh, and that's where she got her G Sony 24 handle. We became really good friends. I was added to a mutual group chat and got her number, and we called, FaceTime, etc. like every week. We sent gifts to each other for holidays, and I even visited her last year. She was a great friend to me, but it all went downhill last year and a half when she got really popular and started vending at cons. I had started to notice that our friendship was very one sided when it came to our career support. I worked my butt off for such a small following and still wouldn't get likes or comments or even anything regarding my art, while I basically hyped the hell out of her on her broadcast channel and everything. When I addressed it to her, don't have screenshots because the group chat isn't around, she apologized and said she'd do better and never really did. It's something I think people need to know is she apologizes but doesn't really fix her behavior. She didn't give a fuck about my career and it got worse this year, my breaking point. So in March, she came to Washington for ECCC. I offered to help her because I'm a resident and wanted to see her. I got the hotel, called her to make her get her flights, drove 5 hours and paid for parking. Spent close to probably 2.5K USD on the trip and had to beg her to compensate me for half of it because she kept forgetting. She was unprepared and I had to get materials from Walmart for her, never got paid back for those. And for most of the first day of the con, she complained that her original assistant wasn't there to help her because I wasn't carrying her bags for her or basically being a full on assistant. She only paid me $700 back, so half for the parking, half for the hotel. The entire con, she only talked about herself, never introduced me to her friends, never put in an initiative to ask what I wanted to do or what I wanted to eat since she was too tired or she didn't care or she wasn't hungry. By the way, her
Hello.
booth was being held up
Okay,
barely and her
that's
prints were
normal.
held up with packing tape.
I never
She made me
bothered to
take
actually
photos
know
of
her
her signing
name.
autographs.
This is
She
weird.
acted like a child the
Now,
entire time.
now
She
when you point
constantly
it out.
talked about her accomplishments, especially the Hori art contest to her fans. This is like an allegation, right? From Anonymous. But crazy you're hyping up winning a contest when you cut and pasted from the guy who hosted the contest. Or like the guy who was like choosing the winners. Crazy. But Anonymous continues, yeah, it was a mess and I was so exhausted. I asked her to spot me a little for gas because I couldn't afford it. She made over 8K by the way, and she complained and gave me like 20 bucks, which doesn't cover a full tank. After I begged for more, she gave me 50. I have a literal recording of the convo, but I won't post it because it's illegal in Washington. Anyways, she didn't say thank you to me after I drove her to the airport, so I was pissed as hell. I missed work and two of my jobs to help her and was treated like an assistant the whole time and not compensated a dime. To top things off, while I was vending, I was talking to some friends and they notified me that she had been actively scamming people because last year she had people put in pre-sale orders on her broadcast channel for sweaters and prints and keychains and whatnot, and everyone paid her, but she didn't send anything out for a year, and some people spent like over $200 on those products, and she now recently gave refunds because somebody called her out. She's awful at accountability. There's been
Okay.
multiple times when people have
Okay.
commissioned her and it takes her months. One person paid her to get a print signed from a voice actor and she never mailed it, and a dude I could effing go on. I have screenshots from our arguments after ECCC, and I have screenshots from my friends calling her out. And then somebody sends messages back, and the anonymous says, dude, I'm a college student working two jobs. She works a full time job while making thousands of dollars on our conventions every month. She paid for one of my meals. One. So with this one, people in the comment section didn't really have like too much to say, or like they were kind of on the fence about it. They were saying, "Oh wow, it's like where's the proof? Da 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 da. Convenient. This is only coming up when she's getting called out for her art. Doesn't feel like it's important. Whatever." I just felt like covering it because Anonymous did make points about Sony's kind of lack of being able to apologize, like show accountability for things. So it was just something else that I saw that I kind of wanted to toss in here as well. The main focus
Sometimes I'm not. This is no attack on Cat, but sometimes I don't know if anyone else feels this way. This is just probably just me. I'm just weird. Sometimes I think she has a little bit too much fun with these art drama things. I don't know why. And I know that's technically her shtick because I guess that's what's her bread and butter, um, on YouTube, and that's fine because it's reactions and she's not doing anything wrong. She's not doing anything illegal. But sometimes I think she gets a little bit too much glee out of these type of things, a little too much.
again is the whole
And this is just a small. I don't think much of a criticism. It's just a weird observation. Um, so I have no problem with Kat. I'll still watch her videos when I can, but it's just like sometimes I think she takes a little bit too much joy out of these videos.
artwork situation, which cutting and pasting off of people's artwork onto your work is insane. And Sony seems to be on an indefinite hiatus according to their Twitter page. That's literally what it just says in their nickname. So it is what it is. People have a sentiment of like on the original post made by Egos, they were like, "Oh, well you DM'd her, so like this is over, etc." Right? My opinion, personally,
That's what I'm saying is, yeah, she's not. Yeah, she's not. I don't think she's. Nothing's wrong with it. Like that's your thing. You're like a drama channel. That's a thing for art specifically as a niche, and that's fine. That's okay because like you know you're not doing anything illegal, and people should be careful what they post online because what you post online will come back to haunt you. And she's one of those. I'm not her, but like she's one of those types who will bring up your situation if it is, I guess, quote unquote, juicy enough for it to be talked about to bring a form of lesson or awareness. So let that be a cautionary tale to all who post online and wants to be a content creator, whether you're a artist or a streamer or whatever the fuck, but it doesn't matter what it is just be mindful of what you do on the internet because the internet doesn't forget. So, you know, yes. So it's fair game from that point. So I can't even be mad at her for doing what she does because like a bunch of YouTubers do it and they make their money off that. So as a content creator who doesn't want to have that type of smoke, don't do stupid stuff. Be as kind to people as possible. If you don't like being in drama, really don't deal with anyone. Just stay to yourself. Don't say anything. Don't post anything crazy. Post your work, post your content, but don't post like your opinions and political opinions, religious, pretty much do what Zendaya does. What I said yesterday: shut the fuck up, do your job, and just stay out of the limelight when you don't have to. That's it. That's it. T- take on the Zendaya effect. Do your job, do it well, shut the fuck up, and do what you need to do. That's it. And stay quiet and stay out. Like Zendaya, uh, Keanu Reeves, fucking Eminem. All these people do that. Once you hear about Eminem, is like he posted a song. That's it. A little controversy, gone. You don't hear anything about Eminem. Like fucking Tiger Woods. When's the last time you heard about Tiger Woods? The most we ever heard of Tiger Woods outside being golf is when he was in his scandal with his wife or something. That was like what 10 years ago almost. You don't hear anything about this man. You know what he's doing? He's playing golf with his son. He does what he does best. He ain't making no political takes or anything like that. Do what Tiger Woods, Zendaya, and all these people do. Especially if you're trying to be a person of the public, if you're trying to be a public figure or a content creator, you want to be famous, or you want to be famous for your work, do not give your opinion. So that's what that is. So that's crazy. Ellis, you just came in. You didn't say anything till now, so I don't know anything specifically to you. So
personally is
unless
Eagles
TikTok
did
took
exactly
out
what
your thing.
generally people would say, right? Like people are like, "Oh, why make a call out post? You should have DM'd them privately first." Eagles did. And I feel like the bare minimum expectation that I do agree with is, "Hey, can you be transparent with your audience because you are selling artwork that you've traced, that you've painted over from other people's work, and you've literally cut and pasted people's
Food with
work
Mew
onto
says,
your
hey yo.
artwork, and you're either sold
Hello.
it and you entered a contest with it and won, and you're like hyping that up.
Hello.
It's just the accountability that isn't present. So people are basically harping on egos, being like, well, you DM'd them and like Sony responded, so it's like a end deal, it's done, right? You should just like, why did you come public with it? It's just the accountability aspect because Sony didn't publicly let their fans and audience know about this. It's the transparency. So everyone's harping on egos, but I think what egos did was completely correct. I do think it's extremely fair in what they did, and because Sony didn't publicly clear the air with their audience, like, hey, by the way, like the stuff that you were buying from me, yeah, I traced all that. If no one holds them accountable publicly, they're just allowed to continue this behavior on and on and on. So there's that. We have an update. I know I look a little funky. Sony then on April 27th put out their side of the story. I day tripped to the Bay to attend Stay in Bloom, and I literally got home like a couple hours ago, and I've been recording ever since. So if I look greasy, it's because of traveling. Sony writes, hello everyone. I know it's been a very hectic week, and I want to apologize for not speaking up sooner regarding everything that has been happening. I know this has likely all been very jarring and stressful for everyone, and I'm so sorry to have left you all in the dark. For now, I want to address everything I've seen and go from there. A thread. I am so sorry it's so long. First, I'd like to properly apologize for my absence this week. I had been on hiatus prior to everything due to a work incident I spoke about 3 weeks ago, and due to a sudden death in the family on Tuesday, ongoing work inspections, and finalizing my move. I haven't had time to gather myself mentally until today. I'm not
Oh
saying
my
this to garner
god, when they
sympathy
say
in any
shit
way.
like this, I just bro, this you're just filibustering. Just stay on point. I hate when people do this stupid shit. I don't care if your grandma died doing a backflip while trying to do a cartwheel at the same time. Just stay on point. What the fuck are you in here for? Because no one cares about that. No one cares if you are on a mental well break. The fucking what do you call it? Ross Draw said that stupid shit too. Don't say that stuff. That shit's stupid. That's fucking dumb. Stop saying you need a mental health break and shit. Just fuck. You're just filibustering at this point. Just stay on point while we're here. Address the problem. Say you're sorry or worst case of me and move the fuck on. Jesus Christ.
Also, I just want to genuinely
That shit's
explain the
irritating.
reason for my absence and hope you can all understand why I wasn't and haven't
I
been on.
had the same argument with my mom just the other day, or my dad the other, well, both my parents the other day. Stay on fucking point. I don't know why you keep talking about a bunch of nothing.
Online. Secondly, I like to
Shit.
apologize for the stress that's been caused by me not speaking up sooner. I completely understand for those who are upset about the situation and those who have expressed such frustrations or distaste towards me. I know there has been a lot of confusion and rightful anger, and I'm truly sorry for having been the root of such awful feelings. Even after I explain, I will respect and understand anyone who may still be upset with me after all of this. Regarding the allegations, specifically those that were posted from egos, I would like to provide some clarity on the timeline of events because I did see some speculation about it and want to be as transparent as possible about everything, as well as explain my side of the story. I received a DM from this account regarding the speculation on Easter Sunday morning, 420 at 6:24 a.m. my time. I had just finished a short live on TikTok to celebrate Bakugo's birthday roughly around 5 a.m. It was my first moment of rest in a while. So this is the DM. You can see it was April 20th, and this was the response that we saw. Sony writes, I want to touch base even though I was on hiatus because I wanted folks to know I was doing a little better and wanted to do something short for Bakugo's birthday. I saw the DM shortly after ending the live and sent a response as soon as I could, which was 5:11 a.m. my time. As you have seen in the DMs, they pointed out the artist I had heavily referenced on Pinterest, and I apologized and responded. I spoke with a friend.
Did you reference or did you trace? It's a yes or no question. That's all. That's all you have to say. Did you reference or did you trace? Yes, fucking no. Which one is it? Yes or no? Did you trace a little? Did you trace at all? No, not really. I'll get it. I'm just trying to push in the. I just wanted to be a little bit more out because once the crotch line is here, that's where the. Okay, so a thing that a lot of people don't know. I'm using human terms. I know this is a transformer, but let's just put it this way. I learned this a long time ago. This is how you avoid making your arms too long. No, no, it's fine. It's like I'm using more human like a focus on doing this. So like the thing is to avoid making your arms too long because I know some people suffer from that situation where the arms look strangely long than it should. The best way to know how long your arms should be, they need this. I'll fix them, but like that's why I'm trying to put the placement first. That's what my problem is. It's not really drawing. I can fix that. I can draw the robot hands and all that stuff. I already have what it looks like. But like the point is like here. So the crotch, whenever the crotch begins, that's where the arm, the wrist comes in. That's where a lot of people don't know this. So when your elbows are somewhere in this particular region, of the body from the elbow here. But whenever the you want to know where the hands begins, it starts at the where the wrist begins is where the crotch stops. So wherever your crotch is where your hand starts beginning. That's why if you put your hands past if you put your hands by your sides, you can see that your wrist literally passed your crotch by the instance of your when your hand starts. A lot of people don't know that. That's like anatomy 101 to know. So that's one thing you if you're having trouble figuring out why is your arms looking too long, that's a good basis of measurement to keep things in check. So
Simultaneously to ask for her opinion on everything, and she advised me it would be
I
good to
learned this
delete the
from
posts I
Taco.
referenced from, then repost them with the references linked and credited, so the original references would get the rightful attention and credit they deserve. I thought this was a good idea too, so I began to take down the post and search for the original artists of references to both apologize and ask for permission regarding the reference artworks. After this, I had planned to speak with the account that messaged me, but because it was the middle of the night when everything happened, I ended up falling asleep and woke up late Easter morning and observed the holiday, speaking with my family. Again, I had planned to message them back when I got the chance to, with my explanation, time lapses, and an apology for the delay in response, but before I could speak to them again, they posted the thread not even 24 hours later, with no attempt to follow up with me beforehand. I want to iterate that I am not upset, and I understand the concern and respect the intention of wanting to bring attention to what could be tracing. I will say I was a bit thrown
Oh
off.
my god, I hate when people write shit like this. I hate it when they write like this. The reason why it pisses me off is because the only thing we need to know, did you trace yes or no? Yes. Did you trace yes or no? No. What did you trace? Nothing about it. Do you have any evidence that you didn't trace it? There's a video I did on the YouTube or thing. You can see it from beginning to end. Okay, there you go. Trying to talk like you're some type of fucking English professor major from fucking college sounds insane. Like you're making you're sounding like you took like it's like you wrote an essay and trying to reach the character limit just to prove that you put effort in what you're trying to say in in a Twitter post. It is so annoying. Just say you did or you didn't. And if you didn't, show evidence. Do you have evidence? If you have the evidence, no, I didn't do it. I have evidence here. It's like, yes. You don't have to go on a whole thing. It's a yes or no answer. That's it. Did you trace that character? No. Did you trace anything apart of the character? Yes. Where? The hands, because I was having a hard time with hands. Okay. So you did trace to a degree, but did you trace the whole thing? No, I didn't trace the whole thing. There you go. This whole fucking essay response, like you're trying to write a essay for like university, it sounds insane. You sound crazy.
That they tag the people I followed and followed me
You know
as
what
they had
most
nothing
people are not going to do? Most normies are not going to read that. Once it goes past like a certain character of limit in their head, they're not going to read it. It's like Jesus.
to do with any of this. But again, I understand the
Like it's
intention with wanting to
insane,
post.
dude.
I will just add like reasoning for this, not me condoning or like not condoning it, but a lot of people who make callouts will do this because people who trace have a tendency to trace from the people they follow. So they will tag the people being like, hey, this person that we suspect is tracing follows you and they've traced from all these other people that they follow. So you could be a victim to try to get more eyes on the situation so that for pieces that people aren't sure whether it's traced or not, the artist could step in and be like, oh, that was by piece, you know? That's just why they do it. Morally, is that right or wrong? Debatable. Sony continues, I only wish I was allowed the opportunity to clarify things in private with both egos and the artist who I reference from before making a public statement about the situation. Regardless, I am deeply sorry for the stress this has caused. I will
Bro,
own
you
up
said
and
you
admit that
keep
when I
saying
struggle with
reference.
poses, I would look some up on Pinterest and reference them at times. I should have been honest sooner and given
Whoops.
credit to the references I used, and I am so sorry for not doing so. Regarding the tracing allegations, I have seen some claims that have really confused me, and I can't figure out how they correlate to my drawings over the years. I recognize that trust has been shaken by the situation, and I don't fault anyone for being worried or suspicious, but I would like to firmly say that I am not a tracer. I've been an artist for some time now and have done numerous lives where people have watched me draw. My art process is no secret and have not made any attempts to hide how I draw, although I understand that this doesn't necessarily prove anything. I have seen that the Todoroki drawing in particular is the one bringing the most concern. I actually drew that piece on
Made the
TikTok
hand
Live
a little
with
too
hundreds
thick.
of people watching me draw
Little
it.
curve
I did
yesterday.
heavily reference the pose, but I have a time lapse showing my process here below. In any case, I should have given credit where it was due when it came to heavy referencing, and I am sincerely sorry. To address my vending at cons, I have sold some pieces that were using poses referenced from other artists. The artworks in question will be taken down and no longer sold, and I will do my best to contact the
Wait,
affected artist.
wait, hold up. Hold the fuck up. Hold the hell up. If you didn't trace them, why are you taking them down? If you didn't trace them, why are if you claim you didn't trace them, you heavily reference. Why are you taking it down? Because that's the only reason. This is the only reason why people are accusing you. Did you trace it? Yes or no? Why are you taking it down? I'm not gonna take down something I didn't. Yeah, it's like what the fuck? Like, bro, if you know you didn't, if you know you did not trace it, it doesn't matter at that point. You didn't trace it. You're just really good at copying in the sense of using your mind's eye. A lot of people can't do that. Not a lot of people cannot do that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people can do like a close reference by using their mind's eye, but when you do a one for one that almost look identical to what that's a skill, right? That you're almost like I'll call you guys Sharingan to that point. You know what I'm saying? But like, bro, I don't think that makes sense. I will not take down something I made that took me hours to make. I'm not taking it down. Not. And this is why, for now on, I think this is why you should record yourself doing any. If you're thinking of posting something, record yourself doing it. If you're thinking of posting something on the internet, record yourself doing it. So there's no naysayers. They can go to the live. You don't have to send everyone, you don't have to send anyone a bunch of videos. You can just send them the link. That's it. Call it a day. Go on. You can stream to YouTube, Twitch, Kick, all of them at the same time. So they can't say it's just on Twitch or something like that. It's on different platforms, different angles, different, 1 to 1. There you go. This is why I think in most universities, what's going to happen, for you to for them to take your portfolio seriously, you have to do one of two things. One, you have to send a literal painting Yes, and then what's going to happen in the future because AI is so prevalent, right? And authenticity is hard to like come by these days. What universities are going to do if you're in an art university, they're going to ask you, one, send us like a traditional painting and or drawing or several paintings and or drawings of your work sent to us, right? Laminated and everything into the mail. That's one. Two, if you're going to send digital work, we need a whole 7, 8, 20 hour long video of you from beginning to end, of you doing it, showing your face, your hand, the screen, everything, so we know it's authentic. So when we see your video, we watch it from whoever we hired to watch it. They can tell us with the with the utmost professionalism, like, okay, they didn't trace, they did everything, their portfolios unchecked, they did everything. I think they should be accepted to the school. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen. This is what AI has brought into the forefront. Even though this topic is not about AI, AI is a form of tracing to a degree, because even though you're not doing it, just writing a prompt takes other people's work, slack together, and say it's theirs. That's what pretty much AI. It's not making anything new. It just takes other people's shit and then call it new. That's what it does. That's literally what it does. Because if you actually do something original, it can't do it. It needs other people's work. That's the whole point of the whole AI thing with the machine learning. It takes other people's work and then make a exact copy, or like a close enough copy of a reference that it's basing itself off of. So that's what that is, right? So because of the tracing, because of the AI, and people not being truthful as they should be, you have to go. What this does, it does two things, one good and one bad. The good thing is the authenticity will be there, but the bad thing about it is now you have to do more just to prove yourself, because other people or companies think it's smart to take other people's work and run it off as theirs. Fucking, we just heard it earlier. Individual copied or photobash or copied Hirokoshi's work for a contest. Current Orion he made. Oh, let's go, let's go. But like we just heard earlier. I think it was like either this video or the last video where someone literally took Horikoshi's work and used it in a fandom on a fan art contest. It was handpicked by Horikoshi himself, not knowing it was his work being used. That's crazy.
I heavily reference
And
from
what's even more wild, which this is why I would never really advocate for people to go to university for art, is because now art, I don't know if most of you know this, but now universities are taking AI as a part of the curriculum. Like, it's bringing AI into the curriculum of how they teach, which makes no sense. That kind of defeats the whole purpose. If you bring like AI into the curriculum, what you just did is literally just put technically your professors out of a job and the artist that's coming there to attend. It makes no sense. But they're considering more often to bring AI into the forefront, which I get why they're doing it, because it's an inevitability, but when you really think of it, it's stupid. It just seems pointless to even do it in the first place.
to apologize. I know this was a lot to read through, so I want to say thank you to everyone who takes the time to read my explanation of events. I'm also going to have replies off for this thread because I wanted
It's
to serve as a
insane.
source of clarity
It doesn't
instead of
make any
potentially
sense.
fostering more arguments. Again, as I mentioned earlier, I am on hiatus and focusing on family affairs, so please forgive my absence. So, this is the time lapse in question that is posted, and the reason why I'm showing you this time lapse is because there have been some internet conspiracy theories regarding this time lapse. So, we can kind of take a look at it and kind of how it
Hmm.
looks like, etc. And again,
What?
not going to play any audio, but we can kind of see. Oh, wait. Okay, one thing about this time lapse that I'm really confused about personally, and maybe this is me wearing a tinfoil hat, but we do see like a very, kind of like drawn out sketching process. It does take a while. We see everything sketched out. And it kind of feels like from the rendering process, it's like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. All of a sudden, shadows appear, boom, shadows appear, boom,
Like, I
like
got
shadows appear,
skipped.
boom. Again, some people just render really quickly. But here, right? I mean, I don't know. Color drop tool, that could be a reason why. I will also say, of course, the debate wasn't whether Sony could draw or not. It is very clear Sony can draw, and they do acknowledge it in the statement as well, stating, "Oh, I've drawn live many, many times, but I do acknowledge it doesn't necessarily prove anything." The secondary debate with tracers isn't typically can you draw, because most of the time the answer is
Kid,
yes. It's
yes.
just did you trace some of your pieces? Because again, likely they didn't trace all of the pieces, but a substantial amount as we've seen with evidence. So then we have this post quote retweeting the speed painting from Helga Grin writing, "Okay,
Yeah,
am I insane or are these
that's the irony in it. Most people don't know this, but most people who trace is not people who can't draw. It's usually people who can draw. That's the or they're competent in drawing, but they're not as confident into their skills, and they're trying to, I guess, save time or what case may be. It happens, I get that, but you have to be transparent and let people know if you trace the part. If you be transparent and say, look, I was having a hard time and I really couldn't get the hand right, and I had a deadline, so I had to use a quick trace of a hand. People won't really get mad at you, but when you try to pass it off and not mention anything, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna cause question now. See, the point of the whole everything of this is you're supposed to be transparent if you have an audience, right? You're supposed to be transparent because people are looking to you as a form of guide or a form of inspiration or a full or example to others to what you need to be, right? Yeah, and the thing is, if you have a deadline, you have an enterprise thing. I can get that because I think even some animators do this to a degree because they're trying to save time because the budget wise, depending on what they're doing, or if you're part of like a big enterprise thing, I get that. But just be transparent and say, yeah, that was a trace part there because we couldn't get the hand right and we needed it right now. We didn't have time. We would have put more time, but the budget X, Y, and Z. I get that, but when you're just a regular old schmo and you have time and all that stuff, don't trace. I this is why when anyone asks me the question when I'm teaching, I'm like, I don't really put that as a curriculum or make that as a thing because it it's not that it doesn't help. It's just that the issue it becomes a behavior. That's the problem, and that behavior is easy to fall into if you don't feel like doing it. You know what I'm saying? That and it's easy to fall into that uh I want to draw something that's cool, but I really don't want to pull the effort, so I'm gonna trace it. That's what people are gonna do. And that's why I never really promote the idea of tracing on the slightest. I don't promote it because it leads to this type of attitude, and it becomes a habit, and then you're just lying to yourself and to your audience. And that's why whenever you guys see me and then you guys see you're still working on this, because the time I turn the fucker off is the time I'm taking a sleep nap or I'm taking a eat. I don't want to be drawing any more longer than I have to, because I was ready sitting here for 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. I don't want to sit any more longer than I have to. I can always stream tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? So that's why sometimes some works will take longer than others. So that's why.
not the same drawings, you can literally see that there are differences in both line art and shading. OG first, the version from the time-lapse is the second. So here we have the OG drawing that was posted to their page, and here we have the time-lapse version. And Helga writes, like, not to be a conspiracy theorist, and I would love for it all to be a misunderstanding, but it kind of looks like OP simply redrew their artwork for the sake of getting a time-lapse. These are not the same drawings, dog. And another person says, I think it's the quality of the time-lapse video. The shading on the arm seems very one-to-one to me, and Helga says it's really not, lol. And then Helga adds this video kind of like overlaying the artwork one on top of the other, where you can see there does seem to be a rendering difference in terms of the one that was posted and the one in the speed paint. And I think this comparison video does a much better job of actually showing the differences here. Like there are just some wrinkles that are disappearing, etc. Again, maybe it's like the quality of the recording, which is why it just looks lower. And then this person writes, OMG, you are insane. The mouth and hands are different. And Helga says the liner on the hair is very different too. And here, this Twitter user Sec adds a little side by side where I think here you can see with a little bit more clarity. Like if you look at the wristlet, this wristlet is higher up than this one. This one kind of dents down a little bit. The palm on this hand goes a smidge lower. And if you look at the buckles strapping this metal piece onto the arm, they're not the same. This one is larger and protrudes more outwards than this second buckle here. And the line art on the fingers are different as well. And Helga wasn't the only person that thought this too. We have this post from Suki or Dynamite writing, "Am I going crazy or are these two completely different drawings?" And they also add an overlay of the full image, one on top of the other. So the one with the G Sony logo in the corner is the one they posted, which was the one that was accused of tracing. The one without the logo and the times are the ones that was from the time lapse. Like the wrinkles aren't in the same position. The rendering on the arm is moving a little bit here. The detailing on the belt buckles are also different as well. Like notably this buckle, right? You see how much darker it gets over here? And a commenter says, "It literally looks like the final posted image was rendered more. The speed paint wasn't necessarily the final product." And Suki comments, "There's several other drawings, including this one, that were heavily traced. Like there's no denying it
Yeah.
anymore, and it's not even just rendering. Come on now." Another Twitter user comments, "Whenever I finish the drawing, I usually edit my art with a separate software before I post it. This is probably the case." And Suki says, "Probably," in quotes. It could be possible the time lapse is legitimate and that is the artwork prior to any modifications, as in like overlays, layers, like color adjustments, adding grain to it, texturizing, whatever. Do you believe it? I would love to hear your comments down below. Me personally, my tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, after seeing the overlays, I'm not necessarily buying it because no matter how much texturization, overlay layers you're adding, whatever, like color adjustments, it's not going to change the line art. It wouldn't change the placement of the wrinkles. And when you overlay things one to one, like the gauntlet gets a little bit thicker, right? The wristlet gets a little bit wider. The rendering on the clothing gets moves a little bit. The rendering on the belt gets darker, like much more defined, but nothing else really gets darker. So it's not like it was like a multiply layer that was added. This one's very iffy. I would love to hear what you guys think down below. But again, there's just a lot of evidence of the tracing and the copying. Here we have Fantasy Izuku posting another thread about the art tracing, which a lot of these we've already seen. Like you're gonna say you didn't trace, but the pose lines up one to one. You're gonna say you didn't trace, but it looks like you copy and pasted Hori's artwork onto your artwork. You're gonna say you didn't trace, but your OC looks like this, and the veins in the hands are one to one. And here we have Donna11 writing, "Yeah, just keep bullshitting about it." And they post this
Just
overlay
having fun with
where
that.
you can see it's one to one. And Fantasy Izuku adds, "If you ever wonder why some areas of her art weirdly drop in quality, this is why. You will also notice her line art is very shaky, which can be a sign of tracing. She does not have an understanding of art fundamentals, so her own rendering looks amateurish." And then BB posted this, writing, "There's also this." And it's a quote retweet from a post made by King Mephi, writing, "As somebody who loved and supported G Sony for years, I'm really sad to see the allegations. And I say that because I have this, a commission I waited over a year for, spent $50 on, and had to ask her for it. And you get this." I'm not saying it's a bad piece of artwork, but anybody with eyeballs can acknowledge this does not look like the art she normally posts. Like, this is the artwork that Sony is posting on their page. And this is what you deliver for a commission? Either you are scamming the hell out of your clients by delivering work that astronomically underperforms compared to your regular artwork, right? That has such a massive difference in quality, or you traced most of your pieces and therefore your actual artistic ability is much lower than you project because you're copying and pasting hair, etc., tracing poses and artwork, and the moment you can't do it because it's a commission, suddenly you end up with pieces that don't have the same quality. And then King Mephi adds, "I was really disappointed when I received this commission and I told Sony to redo it because this wasn't in line with the quality of work she put out. I'd waited a year for it and she did it in a few hours of me reminding her. I remember being very lost. She didn't get back to me with an updated version, and honestly, I didn't bother because I just figured she'd been busy and it was $50 that she needed at the time. But now seeing the allegations, I'm worried if it may have been because of tracing. I've been following Sony since Healer Deku days and have always been a huge supporter. I always impress on people how important it is to support others, especially."
Why is there such a focus in the My Hero Academia community to make the boys so feminized as possible? Like, it's really weird. I see more boys love type artwork from the My Hero Academia scene than I would see like JoJo. And the
Brightroclose says okay, so I wasn't tripping.
Okay, so yeah, you saw that? You saw that, bro? I was like, why? I had to say it. I'm like, why? Why is that such a focus for most My Hero Academia? Like, I noticed there's a lot of boys love type artwork all the time. And then, what's the wildest part about it? The weirdest part is this. Okay, say I like a character. Say I like Midnight, right? Midnight. And I really like her design. I really think she's cute.
Brightroclose says
I'm
girls
really
love boys love.
yeah. I think she's really attractive. The last thing I want to draw is she doing like girls love stuff. Why would I draw on girls love stuff if I find her attractive? If I find her attractive, why wouldn't I draw her more in positions of like, you know, hetero stuff? Right? Does that make sense? If I find her attractive, right, and I like to the point where I think if I were to date this individual, wouldn't I draw her in situations that she's like in a hetero situation? Why would if I like say you're a girl, right, and you like Deku, why would you draw Deku getting done by another dude? That is weird.
Brightroclose says it's a girl thing, I think.
It's a strange thing because it's like say you have a boyfriend, right? Say you're a girl, you have a boyfriend. I don't think the last thing you want is for him to be like getting done by another dude. You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm getting at with this? Or like vice versa, if you're a dude and you like your girlfriend, the last thing you want, honestly, I think for most dudes, honestly, would not want your girl being done by another female. It's a strange thing. That is strange to me. Now, if you said I don't like Deku like attractively, like in a like in that sense, then I kind of get it.
Brightroclose says some guys thinks that's different.
Yeah, some guys do think that that's different, but like, well, that really says a lot about the dude, to be honest. But like, I understand if you said you have no like attraction to like say Bakugo, but you like his let's say personality or something, or you just like the way he talks or something, but you wish he was like on the other side of the fence, then I kind of get it, right? But if you're like attracted to like I said, if you're attracted to like a celebrity, let's use a celebrity, that's better. Let's say you're attracted to celebrity. Say you're attracted to I don't know, uh, uh, I think his name is Steve Evans, the dude who plays Captain America, right? If you find him that, or let's use the Dean from Supernatural. If you like Dean from Supernatural, right? Why would you put if you find that attractive that you think he's a handsome man, this and a third? Why would you write fan fiction of him being done by another dude? No one finds that weird. I find that weird. If I find like I said, Christine Milian pretty, why would I write a fan fiction of she being done by another woman? That's just weird. Especially if I have a attraction to her. It's a strange thing.
like artist. But this kind of behavior is just a bit sad. It's
Now it only
important.
makes sense if you're a woman and you find her attractive in that sense and you want to put her in that position. I get that because you're a woman who finds her attractive in that sense. I get that. I get that. If you're on the other side of the fence and I get that and that's what you do, I get that. That makes sense. But if you're someone who says you're pretty hetero and then you putting them in those type of positions, which stop and think these are children. These are like 14-year-old individuals. You gotta stop and think to yourself. This is kind of walking on a very thin line. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's because they're boys, people don't say anything. But God forbid it was a lolly girl, or forget she was even lolly. Say she was a busty 16-year-old or something. People will have a problem with it. Shit, even if she was in her 20s, people will have a problem with it. I think to a degree. That's the craziest part. I don't understand why people try to write characters in those positions. Those are weird. That's a strange thing. Hmm. So technically, I made the statement of this. Like, we was watching Cat and Chat talk about this drama that's going on, and what was happening is that she was talking about some artist who was a My Hero Academia artist who's been caught tracing or seems to be expected of tracing. we think it's tracing because, well, it looks way 1-to-1, but they're saying, so they claim they didn't do it this on a third, and they showed like a time lapse, and that's some, and and then they wanted a whole lengthy whatever explaining what it was going instead of just answering the question, because it sounded like they're just filibustering because they want to sound like they're taking a university major. Then up to the point where I'm talking about, I guess the person who was, she showed, Cat showed on the screen a female version of Deku, and then I saw another version of like Bakugo hugging up on Deku or something with a heart or whatever. And I said to myself, why is it that when girls find these anime boys attractive, or I'm not saying just girls, but I'm saying most of them, usually I think I would say most of them, 9 out of 10, are usually girls who are making these artworks, because it seems like it's usually women drawing these boys most cases, not just men. But I noticed that when they say they find them attractive, they think they're hot, this and the third. I noticed whenever they're a fan fiction writer or a fan artist, they tend to draw the boys in boy love situations. And I think to myself, if I'm a person who's attracted to Midnight, like in My Hero Academia, and I find her that attractive to the point that I want her to be a quote unquote girlfriend in my head, why would I write her in a position of she's being done by another woman? That's kind of strange. Now, now I can understand if you're on the other side of the fence, that kind of makes sense. But I've noticed there's a even girls I know personally said they find these boys attractive, like attractive, right? They find these boys attractive, like super attractive, to the point that they would want them as a boyfriend or something. But it's weird to me when they make these statements, because when they say this, I'm like, why do you say that? But put them in positions of being done by the same of the same sex. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, it just sounds weird. And plus, not only that, they're teenagers. Most of them are like 16, 14, I think 15. They're, I think, around that age range. I think the oldest was 17, and I think that was like, what's his name? Uh, 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 uh Lemillion. Yeah, it's a strange, it's a yaoi thing. I get that, but like, what's weird is if you're about that yaoi life, like if you're part of that, like that community, I get that. But when you're saying you find, it's like, I use the example, if I find someone like a celebrity, like it's like if I like a celebrity, like a female, like I say Christine Milian, right? Or I say like Vanessa Hudgens, and I think they're very attractive. I wish they was my girlfriend. Why would I write them in a position of them being done of the same sex? That doesn't make sense to me. Wouldn't you make more sense to write them in situations of, if you was like, self-insert yourself with that character or celebrity in your head, or if you're a person who likes Dean Winchester from Supernatural, why are you writing him being done by his brother? Which is strange because there's a bunch of that. I don't know why that exists in the in not of the two actors, but in the fan fiction himself, of him having a boys' love relationship with his brother, his biological brother, which is weird, but that exists for some odd reason. Yeah, that's weird. See what I'm saying? That's weird. That's weird to me. I'm saying, like, that's what I'm saying. That's the statement I'm saying. I'm just saying, if you like something, which is weird, because I noticed that I see more boys love type art with the My Hero, the MHA community, than I ever seen like females. I see that more than anything. It's weird. And if you're a dude and you draw like a My Hero Academia character, like a Uraraka or a Momo or whatever, in a particular way, you're gonna be, in trouble. But I don't see the people who draw Deku and the other one in these in Bakugo and Todoroki in these situations and don't get any hate. Actually, they get more love. It's weird. Which canonically, I'm pretty sure it's proven that most of these characters are on a It's just weird. That's a strange thing to me.
to credit others. Never downplay how
Like
important
fuck,
it is
I
to
see.
credit
Like
other artists.
bro, let's be honest. Like let's be honest. I'm pretty sure it does exist somewhere with JoJo characters. There's some guys love stuff, but there's more. There's and then the thing is like, sorry, I keep pausing because the thing goes in my ear. I want to hear what you guys are saying. Sorry about that. If I just pause, that's why I'm pausing. But uh, let's be honest. In JoJo Bizarre Adventure, most of the men, I'm not saying that they are, but they're very flamboyant in their poses. That's the whole joke of the like they're masculine men, right? JoJo characters who do very flamboyant, almost questionable poses. So that's the thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the joke. What makes like JoJo stand out. They make the men do not do, but take flamboyant poses, right? And but I don't see as much as that compared to MHA. And like the way that JoJo characters are drawn, super like uh semi hyper stylized, like with the full lips and everything. You know what I'm saying? It has a flamboyant look to itself, right? But I noticed that most people do not draw these characters, JoJo characters, as boys love as much as the MHA community. It's very weird. And these are grown men. Grown men, muscular, they're in shape. They're in shape. Like shape the type of shape I want to be in. Right? But you don't see it as much as compared to MHA. It's weird. That's crazy.
They take time to learn what you borrow. The least we can do is say, hey, I actually reference from the artist, and not take revenue by selling those artworks. We must learn from the mistakes. Now, a commenter asked for confirmation and slash proof that this was Sony, and King provides it. In the DMs, this is DMs with Sony, and King says, Big dog, you still haven't done my commission from December of last year. Sony says, I thought you refunded, and King says, not that I remember.
Like
So Sony was like, oh my god,
I
I
don't like
swear.
listen, I'm not saying that you can't draw what you want. Do what you please. Whatever. It's I get it. But I just find it a bit hypocritical if I said I like a particular person, especially of the opposite sex, and then put them in a position of being in a same sex type relationship. It's weird. Right? And that's where it kind of throws me off. That's what threw me off. I had this conversation with my sister. I asked her the same thing, and then I asked my sister the same thing, and when I pointed it out to her, she's like, you know what? When you actually think about it, you actually make a lot of sense out of that. That doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think when I explained this to her, she kind of stopped like taking part of that because she's like if I like Diluc from Genshin Impact, why the fuck am I watching him or wanting to fantasize him being like done by another dude? Why not I want him to be done by me? Right? Or like an insert of my OC character that happens to be female by him. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying.
That's what I haven't done yours. And then Sony says they were gonna look back on messages. But King provides the proof, and then Sony's like, wait, what's your name again on PayPal? Am I tripping? What the hell? I swear I didn't not touch yours for no reason. So King provides their name, and then they say, like I said, I don't ever ask for refunds from artists because I love spending money. I'm the anti Mr. Krabs. I'll wait till the cows come home. I've waited months for commissions. And Sony says, dude, don't even worry about it. It was probably me confusing you for someone else. I don't know. Sorry about the wait, though. I can start yours today. And King says, that's really real. The character I gave you, I no longer use. I'm going to give you the one I'm using now. Do whatever you want with her. I don't know. She's a Star Wars character. She's a Sith. So honestly, as long as she looks like a corrupt baddie, we're good. Sony is apologizing
Corrupt
again and they
baddie.
communicate back and forth. And this is the part two where King is again talking about it, you know, slim black hilt for both, want it super simple, referring to the lightsaber. And then Sony says, okay, I'm almost done. And King says, bro, that went crazy, that's fast. And then Sony sends the artwork, which is the one that King posted. And then King says, I have 0 words. And Sony says, wait, do you want me to redo? Is it bad? And King says, I hate to be a dick, but yeah. When he posted the example of those sketches, they were super clean and looked like he took time on them. I'd rather you took your time because, like I said, I don't care how long I have to wait. Then Sony says, it's cool, let me do a few sketches and you can kind of pick from there what pose you prefer. And don't worry, you're not being a dick, Shoddy. It took me like 20 minutes to draw this. I'm not sweating. And it's your drawing. Never feel bad telling somebody you don't like it if you paid. 20 minutes? Like, again, I think it depends on what you commission, right? If you commission a
Wait,
sketch,
hold
20
the
minute sketch,
fuck
like
up.
reasonable.
Wait, what? Wait, wait. So someone came up to this person who was willing to pay for their art. They said, I love your art. I seen it on thing. I'm the anti Mr. Krabs. I'm willing to wait and pay for your work." And then the person's like, "Okay, cool. I'll do it right now." 20 fucking minutes later, you get a picture? What? 20 minutes? 20 minutes? Not in a full ass hour. 20 minutes. Bullshit. 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 You can't tell me that's not bullshit. There's no way. What the fuck? Like, I understand being a professional, and some professionals are fast, but that is way too fast. 20 minutes? That's as bro. I'm telling you now. That is as short as this video, and this video is 41 minutes, and we're 38 minutes in. That without the pausing, we would have been done by now. Bullshit.
Right? If you commission a doodle, 20 minutes. But wow, yeah. And then waiting a year for a 20-minute piece is crazy. King is much more
Yes.
understanding than I am. Then Fantasy responds, goddamn, this is what I was worried about. The fans who trust and commission her thinking they're going to get the same quality work just to get scammed because her actual skill is less than what she has fabricated by tracing and copying. And Bebby says, genuinely feel awful for the people that commissioned her, especially since she never replies to them. She's so unprofessional. And Bebby quote retweets another post. This is from Twitter user infectious arrow or virus writing, I have this one, I can look for more. These are DMs where over the course from September to December 1st, Virus is kind of messaging Sony and asking about the commission. Happy birthday. Then September 25th, they send something. And October 9th, hope you're staying safe with the hurricane. Good vibes. I'm sorry I can't do more. So maybe they sent money or something. October 16th, hey Sony, it's been a while since I sent you the money for the chibi comms and I've missed 4 weeks of being able to make any income because I had to get a tumor removed. Is there any chance I could
You have
request
to
a
get
refund?
two.
It looks like it sent 65 over PayPal on June 9th. Then December 1st, they follow up on it. And then in the comments replying to King, Virus had said, yeah, I've gotten a few completed commissions from Sony and several that were never finished. Barely even started actually. A year and a half after I paid the deposit. None of them looked like the art style she posts. I paid 125 deposit for one piece, and to this day, the only thing I've ever seen from it was a bunch of stick figures. I also got other smaller comms that were never even started. Luckily, got refunded for the smaller ones, but I was only refunded for those because I went to her in person. All of my messages, including the ones where I asked for a refund, were ignored and not opened till 7 months later after I saw her at a convention. So the general sentiment is all the artists basically have relatively concluded online that Sony is guilty as charged with tracing, copying, and it looks like also not delivering on commissions. But a fair chunk of the Sony supporters for the My Hero Academia art, because the My Hero Academia fandom can be not all enjoyers of My Hero Academia, but there are select people that are very gung ho, absolute blinders to anything except Deku and their favorite characters from My Hero. And they are like, it's just tracing, it's not a big deal. Who cares? They're making a mountain out of molehill. I mean, everybody has their own values at the end of the day. And if somebody making fan art of your favorite anime can, I guess, override the morality of stealing and from artists copying and pasting artwork onto their artwork and claiming it's theirs, allegedly faking a speed painting to try to get out of the accusations, and scamming people out of commissions, then I hope the gooning was worth it, dude. I don't know what to say. But I would love to hear your thoughts down below about this whole situation. Do you think the speed painting was fake? Do you think it was not? Would love to know your thoughts. I always love reading through them. And if you like the video, I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Don't forget to check me out on VGen. I've been selling there, and I also have coffee with free resources for streamers and creators. And I also stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, Saturdays at 6 p.m. PST. I hope to catch you guys there or in another one of my videos.
Okay.
We have
Okay. That's the end of that. Let me find something that's a little bit more. Yeah. Okay, let's see this one with why hip hop doesn't respect Lil Yachty. I don't really, I don't really have a problem with Lil Yachty. I don't know.
Lil Yachty's
I think he kind of stopped doing the mumble rapping thing, but I don't know. We'll see.
career should have been over in a matter of years. Hated by all of the hip-hop community over the age of 21, his back was against the wall from the second he arrived in the game. Seen as the embodiment of everything wrong with the generation of rap, his supporters were outnumbered by the scores of people who wanted to see him back in the gutter. Because, in their opinion, he didn't respect the opportunity he had. Meanwhile, Yachty was just trying to have fun.
I mean, I'm making music, bro. I'm just.
I love Bry. I love you, bro. You don't get me laughing.
Having fun. My fans love it. With just having.
Right? No. Actually, the last time we heard of him was that latest one with the what was it? Can't Hold Me Down. That was the last thing that we heard of him. That was the most recent, I think, right now. But like, other than that, I don't think he has made any real music on his own.
Having fun at 5.
But these days, Yachty isn't laughing anymore, and set out to prove why he's one of the biggest names in the industry. The only thing that hasn't changed—
Oh shit, that was him? Oh my god! Bro, that meme with when the dude goes on the crowd, you know how many times I've seen this meme overlap by like My Hero Academia, JJK? Every time I saw the one with Ghetto, I saw the one with what do you call it? Oh, Gojo, who else? Jesus, and and Jogo. I saw like a whole plethora of them doing this over and over again. What the hell? I didn't know it was him. That's the meme, bro. Holy shit. That's crazy. I'm now figuring this out. I never bothered to figure out what the original was, but I'm looking at it right now. That's crazy.
Is that there's still plenty of fans who feel that Lil Bo is worthy of their disgust. So how did Yachty
Wait, let me see. You said, I see the Asta one. There's an Asta one? Bro, send me that, please. I would love to see the Asta one. That would go hard. That will go hard. I want to see that.
go from being a beloved figure in hip-hop to everyone, including artists from his own label, calling him out and doing anything to tarnish his reputation? My name is Luesta, and to understand why Yachty is so hated, we have to go back and see why Yachty was so despised in the first place. Although he had hits like One Night, Minnesota, and many more blowing up like crazy in the year 2016, many hip-hop fans and vets saw him as everything wrong with the genre. This time in hip-hop was a bit different than it is now, as Atlanta was in the beginning stages of taking over the mainstream with their sound. And as Yachty was signed to QC, the same label that signed Migos, Lil Baby, Rich the Kid, City Girls, and more, obviously his songs had a similar vibe. Trap beats, braggadocious lyrics, auto-tuned vocals, you know, typical Atlanta stuff. And as the sound evolved, many people began to label rappers in this subgenre of hip-hop as quote-unquote mumble rappers.
But seniors mumbling and rambling, mumbling and rapping, mumble rapping. I find it hard to find actual talent.
It was a new wave that was taking over the game, and some critics and rappers had a problem with that.
Because when you look at these kids today that are rapping with the lean and the pills, they sound like garbage. Versus my generation, who, yeah, okay, X, some guys may have dabbled, but for the most part, I don't think a good majority of them dudes was doing that, and the music was quality.
For a long time, Yachty basically became the poster boy of that subgenre, and even acknowledged it in various interviews.
Well, I mean, when it comes to what they call mumble rap,
I remember this, and they asked him. I remember this one. They asked him, they asked Lil Yachty to do a freestyle, and bro crashed out saying, "Why do I have to do a freestyle? I don't have to do a freestyle. Like, bro, you're a rapper. That's kind of like come with the whole like shtick, right? Like, I know some rappers don't really do freestyles because they like to write down their shit. But if you want to be taken seriously and you can do like off the dome shit, people take you seriously after that. They're like, okay, he can. Maybe the lyrics are a little not that great, but then again, he can stay on beat. I can vibe with this. You know what I'm saying? But when when you say I'm not doing it, I'm like, bro, what the fuck? What? That's like someone asking me, like, I'm on a that's like I'm on a high platform somewhere. I'm getting interviewed, right? And someone asks me, I really love your work. Can you please draw me a quick chibi drawing head? And it doesn't cost me a thing. I'm on stream, and this is something that is seen to happen a lot on this platform up here on this show I'm on. So it's not like it's something they're just asking me to do out of nowhere. This is something that's expected, right? I think he was on what was it? He was on an interview with Sway. I think it was Sway, or it was like the Breakfast Club or some shit, I think. And he was getting pressed hard on not doing a freestyle rap when they kind of do that, right? And he made a big stank about it. It was like, oh god.
I feel like you've been the poster boy for that.
Because I'm the one who speaks up, you know. I'm the one who I've been going on all these interviews, and I'm the one taking all the flock for everything, because I be speaking, I be talking.
What's funny is that despite saying this, Lil Bo also clarified that he felt the term didn't really relate to him.
Does it bother you, or do you?
No, it don't bother me, although I still feel like it don't relate to me, but it doesn't bother me. I be talking with grills sometimes, you know, so it may sound sometimes like I mumble, you know what I'm saying, when I speak. And I just got, my voice is different.
However, not only was he labeled a mumble rapper, but he also became a symbol of the new generation of rappers, who often faced criticism for not showing enough respect to the legendary pioneers of the genre. This became a huge deal starting on November 8th, 2016, when Yachty appeared alongside his producer Perry for Pitchfork's Over/Under series. In this show, they were asked to rate things ranging from pirating to famous celebrities like Tom Hanks and Biggie. And when it came down to what he would rate the notorious B.I.G., one of the most respected and legendary rappers out of Brooklyn, the then 18-year-old rapper said this.
It's overrated. I've never listened. I'm not gonna say I've never listened. I've like heard like his stuff in movies and stuff. I grew up very sheltered.
Oh shit. Oh my god. Look at his face. He's like, what the fuck? Oh no. We did this on camera. Oh fuck. We're on camera, bro. The camera's on. Oh, 4K all the way. Shit.
I can't say the same for him.
As soon as the clip began to surface and do the rounds on social media, Yachty bought himself the intense scrutiny of everyone who didn't buy into his King of the Teens image. Basically, this marked the first time that he began getting hated by the masses, as now he was seen as an ungrateful kid who didn't respect what came before him. The backlash was pretty bad, and I'm telling you, everybody was talking about it at the time. To add salt to the wound, this wasn't even the first time that Yachty was seen disrespecting a legend. And only about 2 months prior to this, Yachty had posted a video to social media where he and his friends claimed that Drake was better than Tupac.
What you say?
What?
Drake is better than Tupac and Biggie. They ain't got shit on Drake.
This received so much negative feedback that it's hard to find a single comment where they were supportive of Yachty's opinion. At first, Yachty tried to act like he was unfazed by all the hate and just kept making himself the face of his era.
Why do you think that people always take what you say and twist it to be the most negative?
I don't know, bro. Like, I think it's just because I'm like the leader of this new school, like, and it's like such a big line between the old school and the new school. Like, it's not together. Like, it's clear and evident that the old school of hip hop and the new school of hip hop aren't best friends. You know, like the it's a lot of old MCs that just don't really have much respect for us new school like rock stars.
They don't have to respect you.
True, and then it's the same way.
Exactly.
You know?
Even when faced with intense criticism, Yachty refused to really back down or take any accountability for his role in the hate he was receiving. But it's clear the negativity eventually got to him. Only a couple days later, he was appearing on interviews, immediately taking back what he said.
People take it very personal when it comes to Biggie, and
at the time I wasn't really, understanding that, but now I'm at a point where I understand, it's a lot serious to specific people, because it's just like, I don't know, he's just one of those subjects that just like,
It's touchy, dog. Him and Pac, it's touchy, it's emotional. People are invested.
Exactly. I'm from a new generation where I just wasn't as emotionally connected, but I'm at a point now in life where I understand it.
Yeah.
I respect it, and
you learn from it.
If you want a clear picture of how big of a deal
the thing is about that response is like, he's not saying I'm not faulting him. I can't fault him, right? He's young, right? I was born the year Pac died. So to expect someone who was born in the late or mid or within the 2000s, it's kind of absurd for me to expect them to have that so-called quote-unquote respect or whatever case may be. Honestly. Think it to yourself. So him saying, like, it's like what, it's exactly what Silver Comet said. Is, well, that's expected. It's expected. I'm not even mad at him for saying it, for the Drake thing that he just said. It's funny, but then again, I'm not faulting him. Right? I'm gonna be surprised that if people, yeah, I know, but like, I will be surprised if young people of like, who are like 17, 19, 20 is listening to like a Grandmaster Flash, a Nipsey Hussle. You know what I'm saying? Bones and Harmony, Tupac, Biggie. I'll be surprised if they listen to that shit at all and know who those people are. Yeah, I'll be surprised. Like, fuck it, I'll be even more impressed. I'm dead serious. Like, listen to LL Cool J. I don't even think most young people know who LL Cool J is per se, because I know he just made a song with Eminem just recently. But for them to be listening and knowing who LL Cool J is, as if they know like a Lil Yachty, won't be on the same level. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not surprised by what his statement is. It's not even that shocking. It's kind of expected. I would actually find it strange that he did still listen to these people at all. Yeah.
This was, Yachty claimed that he was literally starting to receive death threats for the controversy. But even though there was a lot of hate out there, none of this was really affecting Yachty's bag. And to be honest, the publicity he was receiving was just making him more and more famous. And it also allowed him to reach a wider audience. Amid making $13 million in 16 months from endorsement deals with Sprite and Target, among others, Yachty was definitely moving like a brand and successfully getting the bag. So if he was truly unbothered by all of the smoke he was getting from his detractors, then he would be entitled to. But while his pockets were getting bigger, so did the tension between him and the hip-hop community.
It was a video of Lil Yachty freestyling at Hot 97. He captioned it with a bunch of emojis showing disapproval, basically saying he ain't with it. Now, a fan actually said, "This is ridiculous. Whoever put him behind a mic and gave him a chance was a fool. Hip-hop is dead because of shit like this. How are people okay with the whack-ass wannabe rappers like him?" Okay, Pete Rock actually responded to that person. He says, "Shaking my head. They don't match the world that we live in making this type of nonsense or not repping the culture right. They breed in these stupid-ass fans with no fucking brains. So we gonna have a world full of that? Really? Now, of course, Lil Yachty was not gonna take that too lightly. He didn't appreciate that.
His attitude towards the culture gave some of the genre's most vocal critics a reason to express their frustration whenever he showed up on their shows during a press run. And that's exactly what happened in the infamous Joe Budden show.
When he asked him, do you have a 360 or something, a 1090 or 360 contract or some shit, and he didn't know what the fuck that was?
Now, I have talked about the drama between Joe Budden and Lil Yachty on my page a few times before, but I think it's worth recapping again for this video.
I think the funniest, I don't really like Joe Budden. He's a bit of an idiot to me, but like the thing is, the funniest thing I see Joe Budden was, I think he was interviewing with, I think he was like DJ Academics, and then was interviewing the Amigos, and I think they asked him a question, and I don't think Joe Budden was flying with it. As soon as the question was asked, Joe Budden got up and walked out. He was so bothered. And it was like, it's not he got up and left. Alright, bro. It will be. Like, I'm telling you something. Like, it was not him getting up and leaving. It's how he got up and leave. Looked like he was about to cry. I laugh so hard that every time I see it.
Because it was really one of the most controversial moments in his career. Well, up until recently at least, when the disdain for Yachty really went into overdrive. Back in April of 2017, Yachty faced scrutiny from Joe Budden, who had joined the Deska, Alexis, and Academics on Complex's new hip-hop debate show titled Everyday Struggle. As Yachty was gearing up to promote his album Teenage Emotions, Joe Budden was not happy about it. Without even hearing a single track, Joe Budden formed his opinion based on the album's controversial cover. The cover features Lil Bo at a movie theater surrounded by various outcasts, including an overweight girl, 2 gay men, an albino, a punk rocker, and a woman with vitiligo. Joe claimed that the cover was pandering to the LGBT.
Oh man, I tell you something. Liberals love the vitiligo people. I don't know why. And it's not just liberals. It's more like just, I'll say Twitter. Twitter, I think it's Twitter and Blue Sky loves people who has vitiligo for some odd reason. It's a weird obsession. It's almost sickening. It's a strange thing. It's crazy. No hate towards people with vitiligo. That's not the point. I'm talking about the obsession of people who obsess about them. It's really weird. It's almost kind of weird.
TQ plus community and was ruining hip-hop culture.
I don't think that Yachty is hip-hop. I don't think that Yachty's label is hip-hop. And when you're not hip-hop, you're trying to just troll or exploit, you get things like this.
Weeks later, Yachty thought it would be fun to come onto the show and discuss it with Joe. However, nobody knew that Joe Budden was about to let Yachty have it for disrespecting the culture that he held near and dear to his heart. 2 minutes in, and Joe Budden threw a fit.
So you came up with this cover?
Yeah, I came up with that cover, and
nobody from the art department at the label came up with this cover.
No,
you went
actually,
to the label and said, I want 2 gay dudes kissing. I want the white girl with the funny hair. You went to the label and said you want all of that.
Actually, I didn't go to the label.
You called?
I didn't call the label. It has nothing to do with the label. We do it and then we give it to the label.
Joe Budden didn't think that Yachty was really a rapper who blew up off of his talents. Instead, he felt like his label was making him have as many antics and gimmicks as possible to help him blow up.
Tell me what the message is here.
The message is just to believe in yourself, to love yourself. Basically, it's just showing all signs of life, you know what I'm saying? She has vitiligo. She's like an emotional girl, you know what I'm saying? We have obesity, and then we have same-sex love, you know what I'm saying?
What about your music speaks to any of that?
My music is basically to stay positive and just to love yourself.
It was almost as if whatever Yachty said didn't even matter, as Joe was simply bitter from the start. When the Atlanta native tried to explain how he can identify with feeling like an outcast, Budden clearly takes issue with it and immediately calls his claim bullshit.
I feel like the new generation is the outcast, but I feel like I'm the top outcast.
Let me tell you something, right?
Now that's interesting.
That's bullshit.
Then, when Yachty tried to say that he's happy every day, Budden then accuses him of being media trained.
I'm happy every day. Because life is moving in such a positive way, I can't get slowed down.
So maybe he has been media trained. This is a very media trained answer.
Before schooling him on how humans work,
Let me tell you about how humans are.
Okay, I'm listening.
Feelings are fickle. What that means is they come and they go. Nobody is one thing forever. You cannot tell me, you would be lying to tell me that as a young man in this industry, in this music industry, in the music business, you are happy 24/7. That is a lie. So that is bullshit, and I refuse to have somebody tell me bullshit.
And although Yachty tried to explain that he was really grateful for everything he had, Joe just wasn't buying it.
When you come from a college dorm room with no money and you ain't getting no play with no girls, you're not getting, you have no clothes, you have no car, and you come to having 3-4 cars, you got millions of dollars, $500,000 on your body just to wear, and any kind of clothes you want, any hoes you want, how could you be upset?
Because I don't think that's where your values lie. That's why. That's why.
Throughout the duration of the interview, Budden made it clear that he had no respect for Yachty whatsoever, and that he didn't stand for anything Yachty represented. But after watching what went down, a lot of viewers who weren't even fans of his saluted Yachty for keeping his composure and standing up to the veteran MC. However, Joe pointed out a few valid flaws within Yachty's mindset, such as the fact that he didn't even know what type of deal he was signed to. And when reflecting back to the interview all these years later...
Okay, he's gonna say the 360, 1080. The 360, 180 contract deal thing he's gonna say what you're supposed to have and what you're not supposed to. I think there's a difference between what contract you sign, because the type of contract you sign will show how much money you actually will be making, or how much you have to owe back to the record, to the labels and stuff like that, because you have to make back the money that they gave you, especially all the things they gave you, the cars, the mansions, all that stuff. So I think he tries to educate him on what type of why is this thing going? What type of contract you should have at all times.
Yachty admitted that the whole incident, as well as being used as a scapegoat by Joe Budden for what's wrong with the culture, did get to him.
Joe was just kind of like, every time he was just trying to diss the newer rappers, he would just use you. For whatever reason, it was just you. And I could imagine it, because I knew you were watching the show at that time.
That's my fucking favorite show.
And every fucking day, imagine like you're just getting slammed. It's kind of like how KD feels about these sports
I swear to God, I was just going to say that. That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah, that's what it felt like, of being a star basketball player, just watching the show that you watch as soon as you wake up, and it's like they're talking about you every fucking day. Yeah, bro, I got such tough skin. You have to be if you want to be an artist or a rapper specifically, because it's just everyone has an opinion. You done had so many private conversations to where you be like, what's your number? And we talk about it after, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, so no, I didn't take nothing from it. It's not like I left there and was like, oh my God, let me do all my research and my homework on. I left that shit like, fuck that nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't leave that shit with like, oh man, he was teaching me something valuable. That's how I left it, you know what I'm saying? Because he was looking crazy.
Even with people like Budden coming at his neck, the strength of his early material meant that the younger listeners and many critics still saw him as an important voice in hip-hop. But unfortunately for Yachty, the road was about to get a little bumpier when the perception shifted from Lil Boat being a man who was pushing the genre forward to an artist who was just phoning it in. In May of 2017, Lil Yachty finally dropped his debut album, Teenage Emotions. And, well, it flopped. It was panned by most critics who originally thought what he was doing was cool and innovative.
If we're going to care about a Yachty mixtape, a Yachty album, a Yachty anything 2 years from now, the quality has got to improve on all fronts, because there's only a certain amount of time in which Yachty's hype will sort of be able to insulate him from the severe mediocrity that he's treating his fans to.
If I remember right, I think Pyrocynical has a real beef with this bald-head man. I forgot his name, but I think he has a real problem with him. I've seen him many times clown this man several times on his show. I think it was Pyrocynical or someone. I think it was Pyrocynical. I think he has a problem with this man specifically and how he does critiques and stuff. It's funny as hell, because he used them as memes many times and like scrunch his head all the time. It's funny as hell. No, I have no problem with his criticisms or anything. I don't really watch his videos, so I can't say anything crazy about him. But like every time I see him, I just remembered. I just watched that one Pyrocynical video.
On this album, I'm feeling a light 2 on this record.
There's also the small matter of fact that it underperformed and didn't spawn any hits like Minnesota or One Night. To this day, it still hasn't been gold certified, while the Lil Boat mixtape was. With that, Lil Yachty suddenly found himself in a tough spot. While he had the fame he craved, he couldn't get the love and admiration that he hoped would come with it. Almost 10 million followers and couldn't sell more than 50K. From here, Yachty entered a period where no matter how hard he tried, he found himself boxed in as just another meme rapper who was never cut out to last. And while albums like 2018's Lobo 2 improved on the commercial performance of Teenage Emotions, he still couldn't get past the idea from fans that he was really striving to make everything unique or that would stand the test of time. But still, he stubbornly carried himself like a star, releasing albums like Nothing to Prove, when in reality, it really should have been called Everything to Lose, as the public's interest in him was dwindling. I feel that this was once again summed up perfectly by Anthony Fantano.
While I have had my issues with a lot of Yachty projects so far, it hasn't been until now that I felt like he's not really trying. And it's unfortunate because when Yachty first came out, I thought this guy is one of the more unique voices out here, really excited to see where he's going, but now it just seems like he's going with the current, which if he continues on that path, eventually he's going to end up washed up at shore. I'm feeling a decent Too Strong 2 on this thing.
Looking like he couldn't craft a single as big as One Night, Broccoli, or create new albums that had much replay value, even those who loved his music in the past were now asking major questions about where he went next. In some cases, they even thought that he lost his drive to succeed at all. What happened to this guy? I really enjoy a lot of Lil Yachty's early stuff. Now, he seems so apathetic and completely out of touch with what made him such a catch. It's pretty sad to see. Is he incapable of making a good project at this point? However, while the world was counting Yachty out, he was doubling down on self-belief, as even when tracks were failing to make much of an impact, with him being written off as just another mumble rapper, and only things like a Drake feature on Oprah's bank account really got him into the headlines, Lobo was telling anyone who would listen that he had more to give.
Well, see, the thing is, it's more to me than a mumble rapper. I would be setting myself short if I settled for that. Like, if I was okay with calling me a mumble rapper or SoundCloud rapper or one-hit wonder or whatever the fuck, pop rapper, whatever someone want to say, I'd be setting myself short, bro, because I rap better than 96% of the new generation. I swear to God.
Those are some those are some baseless claims. Those are some baseless claims, my bro. I don't know about that one, dude. Feeling yourself on that one.
A lot, B. That's a big number.
Yo, bro, it's no rapper from my class and after. Yeah. It's no nigga from my class and after that I can't get on the track with and it's gonna shit on me, bro. Like, I respect the niggas before me. Don't get it twisted. I'm talking about these new niggas, though. All these new niggas, bro. It's no nigga that can come on a track and just shit on me. And I prove that any track I get on. That's why I would love to make a song with Corday or whoever is rappy. I don't, cause niggas be trying me, bro. I'm not talking about he trying me or like, bro, it's a formula to certain music, bro, certain songs. And they don't always necessarily has to incorporate all these, big old metaphors and shit like that. I be trying to make songs and incorporate bars in it, you know what I'm saying? Right. Like, I'm not saying I'm Jay-Z or no shit like that. Don't get it twisted. Let's stop there. But I can rap, bro. You know what I'm saying? I really be rapping.
Honing his skills as both a rapper and producer, Lil Yachty knew that there was something else in the tank, even if he didn't know exactly what it was yet. And instead of feeling sorry for himself, he recognized that the need to constantly prove his haters wrong was a challenge his entire generation faced.
I just feel like niggas be underestimating me. But niggas underestimate the new generation in a whole. It's not just me. Like, it's a whole, the whole new generation. Niggas just are underestimated when it comes to lyrics or bars or being a real rapper, or I don't know, whatever the fuck. Of course, you still got your guys, but I'm talking about like the forefront leaders of the new generation, bro. People try to shit on and try to like make it seem like niggas just, I don't know, bro. Bro, you gotta listen to the song me and Jid did. It's called Van Gogh. It's on YouTube. Bro, that was gonna be on my album. I was eating that beat a lot, bro.
Whether or not he realized it at the time, Lil Yachty had a choice. He could either stick to what he knew, continually received mixed reviews, and never escape that mumble rapper tag that he never wanted in the first place, or he could do what too few artists do in today's music industry, which is taking a risk. And while he did make the decision to do just that and earn more respect than ever, it came with its own problems, which, if we're being honest, he did very little to avoid. When Lil Yachty first came out the gate, the last words that you probably thought to associate him with would be psychedelic rock. But on his latest album, Let's Start Here, that's exactly what he served up. But before we get to that point, Yachty's old fun-loving side was about to pay off again. A throwback track he recorded months before his bold new era began would give him a huge viral smash, the likes of which we hadn't seen in years. The track in question, Poland, was never actually meant to see the light of day.
I took the walk.
Oh no, oh no, oh no. No! Oh my god, this was a fucking meme! Bro, I couldn't take the shit out of this fucking song. Like, Oh my god, you could not outrun this shit. It was in every meme, everything. Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. YouTube Shorts, or YouTube. I don't think YouTube Shorts was on that around that time, but Jesus Christ, it's like, oh, if you watch anything, any meme, anything, this shit will not go away. And then after that, when this came out, fucking Kanye West had something similar. That shit was crazy. That shit was stupid. Oh my god.
Inspired by a literal bottle of Poland Springs water in the studio rather than anything to do with the country itself, its lean influenced lyrics and crazy vocal effects took Yachty fans back to the days of Lil Bo. But Yachty never wanted to take them there because he was busy finding his next move, and only a leak led to its release.
That was irritating. I was pissed because I made Poland while making this album on a day when they were like mixing in the other room, and I was just bored with the homies. I would have never dropped Poland ever, you know, because I was trying to pivot myself into this. So I was really irritated when it dropped, but I'm so grateful it did. Like I said, I really don't know what I do next. I don't know if I'm gonna do this again or do more rap.
Although this could have given way to a whole new wave of rapping for Yachty, the ATL rapper, who had also become part of Drake's inner circle, still wanted to do something fresh. And as he revealed in an interview, it was a conversation with a true creative force in Tyler the Creator that made it feel within reach. I don't fully remember, but he was very motivating and inspiring, Yachty told Rolling Stone. I didn't tell him my ideas, but it was more so, whatever is in your heart and in your mind that you want to do it. And do it fully. Don't shortcut it. Don't cut any corners. Given a confidence boost by a man who had also been written off as just a fad at one point, Yachty was now taking inspiration not from his fellow rappers, but groups like Pink Floyd. And with that,
your girlfriend looks like my mom!
He built something which he felt made everything he had done beforehand
one of the best quotes by Tyler the Creator.
Relevant. So in an interview with Billboard before the album's release, he made it known that he was ready to close the page on the past once and for all. Fuck any of the albums I dropped before this one. I came into music in a time where rap was real hardcore. It was real street. And a bunch of us kids came in with colorful hair and dressing different and basically said, "Move out the way, old fucks. We on some other shit." I was young and I didn't really get.
Imagine someone with crazy hair. Probably malnourished. Runs up on you and says, oh my god. Imagine so crazy ass hair, almost look like they're malnourished, probably don't eat all that much, run up on you and say, "Move, old fucks. We about to fuck shit up." I'm like, bro, you better get your punk ass off me. If you don't get your punk ass out of my face. That's just crazy. Let me hear that again.
Said, and I came into music in a time where rap was real hardcore. It was real street. And a bunch of us kids came in with colorful hair and dressing different and basically said, "Move out the way, old fucks. We on some other shit." I was young and I didn't really give a fuck. So I did do things that may have led people to the assumptions that I was a mumble rapper or a SoundCloud kid, or I don't appreciate the history of hip hop. But to be honest, I've always been so much more than just hip hop. Soon, Let's Start Here would drop and receive the highest praise for a project that Yachty has ever had in his entire career. With this one move, Yachty proved that he was no longer that kid who just wanted to be famous. He was an artist, and for the first time in his career, he was someone who wanted to make tracks that lasted.
The goal I had in mind for Black Seminole, after like being in my room alone many nights thinking like I could never ever do anything Roger Waters has ever did, to making that record, and like obviously by all means it is nothing like Pink Floyd. I never want anyone to think that's what I'm saying, but it just made me feel like I made a record that will be played for the rest of time.
I think it's an amazing song.
Yeah, thank you.
One of my favorites of yours.
After scoring a major win with Let's Start Here, Yachty went from on the cusp of a fall off to literally writing for Drake on tracks like Jumbotron Shit Poppin', Back Outside Boys, Another Late Night, and Calling For You. It's commendable that Yachty took a big swing and knocked it out of the park, particularly when so many artists from his class faded into insignificance or got clowned out of the culture. But this hasn't come without any unfortunate side effects, because these days, Yachty is despised by so many fans for a whole host of reasons that have nothing to do with how he started out. Instead, they're all related to the cocky and conceited way he's carried himself since he's gotten his career back on track, as well as some of the people that he might have exploited to get there.
Y'all earrings small as fuck, bro. Y'all earrings is little. These 16 carats for my earrings, man. You niggas is little. You niggas ain't got no prezzies, man. You niggas is bitches. And I'm not even gonna walk outside and show y'all how I walk around. You niggas be on my dick, bro, and you niggas is hoes, bro. And I rap better than a lot of y'all niggas, bro. That's a fact. That's a fact, bro. But I love y'all.
Yo, I tell you something. Fame is a horrible thing. What? I tell you something, fame is a horrible thing. It is a horrible, horrible thing. It can make the best of us into the most horrible of demons. I tell you, like.
Y'all have a good night, man.
By releasing Let's Start Here, Yachty had proved all of his haters wrong. But the way that he's gone about it has really irked a lot of people, and it's only got worse the more he's opened his mouth since the album dropped. It all began with the promo cycle for the project. I touched on it earlier, but one of the driving forces behind Yachty's drive to make the album was the sense that he didn't want to be seen as just a rapper anymore. I think I created it just because I really wanted to be taken serious as an artist, you know? Not just some SoundCloud rapper, not some mumble rapper, not some guy that just made one hit. You know, I wanted to really be taken serious because music is, like, everything to me. You know, I respect all walks of music, not just rap and hip-hop, everything. Comments like these were commonplace throughout the promotion of the album, and gradually, they started to rub people the wrong way. Because to them, it sounded like Yachty was saying he was too good for hip-hop, not to mention miles ahead of those he came up with. Who does Lil Yachty think he is? This just pissed me off. First of all, Yachty doesn't even have the fan base of Uzi, 21, or Kodak Black because his music sucked major ass for 6 whole years. Ever since he's been hanging out with Drake and had a passable psych rock album, his ego has inflated to galaxy-sized proportions. Yachty knows exactly what it's like to be hated by the entire hip-hop audience, so he did what he could to clear up what he meant.
I want to talk about that for a second because there was this conversation on the internet after I said that, and people took it as me trying to say like, oh, I hate when rappers say I want to be taken serious as an artist, as if I was saying that like rap isn't like being like you're not serious if you're a rapper. That's not what I meant. Me specifically, I do more than rap. For a long time in my career, I wanted to be taken serious as a rapper, and I said that, and so I would go try and do radio interviews or freestyles or whatever just because I wanted that. I did Michigan Boy Boat. I did things like that's when I was trying to prove a rapper, and I'm past that. Now I'm proving I'm an artist.
But this wouldn't be the last time that Yachty's superior attitude landed him in trouble. During a Rolling Stone Musicians on Musicians with Philly rapper Tierra Whack, Lobo basically said that rap sucks right now. Hip-hop is in a terrible place. The state of hip-hop right now is a lot of imitation. It's a lot of quick, low-quality music being put out. It's a lot less risk-taking. It's a lot less originality. People are too safe now. Everyone is so safe. I would rather take the risk than to take the L. As someone who has made a living off of rap for most of his adult life, this was a pretty wild thing to say. It felt like he was actively trampling on the genre that made him famous, the same one that he dissed the legends of years before and barely escaped with a career because of it. But that was just the tip of the iceberg, because in that same interview, Yachty would prove that he has a very warped perception of who he is as an artist, while also punching down at his fellow rappers once again.
When I was younger and coming up to class, I had glorified drugs, face tats, everything under the book, you know what I'm saying? And what I learned as I got older is that I never had the fan base of certain peers because I didn't glorify negativity.
I'm following your footsteps.
Yeah.
You were able to keep a clean image. You weren't really, promoting drugs or violence or any of that. You were literally my twin.
Straight away, fans tore him to
What are you talking about? So he never rapped about... Okay. That's crazy.
Shreds for this, reminding him of the many times that he would use the same kind of subject matters as others in his bars, right up until the present day where he's promoted drug use in his lyrics.
Yeah,
Just months prior, he had saved his career by taking the walk to Poland. Now, he was taking aim at the drug culture in hip-hop and the trap music culture that he had existed in. It made little sense to hip-hop fans, and they were quick to remind him that he wasn't as original or pioneering as he thought he was. Made a whole album imitating Detroit rappers and another imitating Tame Impala, LMAO. But rather than take the criticism and keep moving, Yachty did the worst thing that he could, which is he started responding to it. At the same time, bragging about his—
What did I just say? You respond. I said it as soon as I said it. That's the worst thing you can ever do. Do not respond. Man, we need to study the Zendaya effect. Study Zendaya, bro. Study the Keanu Reeves. Study the Eminems. Study these people. Don't say, oh no, Eminem does actually respond to like thing, but I think that's only to like other celebrities or like big headliners. But like other than that, like you don't respond to the NPC.
His pockets and success. You dudes will tweet some negative about me to get them likes just to post that weak ass SoundCloud link under it, and nobody clicks that shit. And this shit sucks. Like, bruh, you're never gonna make it. When a fan commented saying, you just signed 4 female visas and you imitate Earl when he raps over Alchemist beats, dude, he responded by saying, I signed 1 girl and I don't imitate Earl. You dudes just be talking, bro. You dudes who hide behind pop culture pictures just be saying anything for likes and retweets. People act like the world is going to shit when a dude gives an opinion. After the world momentarily gave him respect for what he accomplished with Let's Start Here, it seems like Yachty had been on a one-man quest to destroy whatever goodwill came his way. Because when he wasn't dissing the current state of hip-hop, he was claiming that New York, the city where the culture was invented, had no style.
And I feel like New York didn't have like this, like, I don't want to say identity. Y'all are so clearly separated now. Like, as far as like, everyone used to just kind of copy Atlanta. Oh, as far as style goes, I mean, I don't think it's shit going on when it comes to like New York fashion. Y'all like Purple Label, Amiri, and y'all wear a lot of y'all homeboys brands. Y'all really supportive. Y'all wear all y'all homie shit. I know, and we can tell.
Immediately, the entire city was up in arms, with plenty of people pointing out that he made these comments while dressing like he was from the boroughs. Yachty said that people from the Bronx can't dress. It's people in Soho who dress the best in New York. Meanwhile, he dressed like 07 BX Cat. Then, hip-hop figures like ASAP Nast weighed into the conversation as they couldn't believe what they had just heard.
I'm not doing it. I'm making this shit short. I'm making it brief. You're not that guy, pal. Come on, real killers, real ones. The real ones, the originators, boy, stop playing. You niggas is bums. Only nigga I'm jacking is Cartier.
While Yachty did eventually head to TikTok and
tell you something. We New Yorkers, I swear.
claim it was a joke, the problem is that Lil Boat keeps alienating people with his comments. The more I hear from this man, the less I like him. And to make matters worse, it doesn't seem like it's just those on the outside looking in who are getting tired of him. Recently,
like I said, you see how people are saying the more I hear him, the more I get annoyed? Imagine Luffy alive, real, saying what he wants to say, not giving a flying fuck what you have to say. He don't care about no history, he don't care about that shit. He'll just tell you off your face, fuck you.
it was announced that one of the leading lights of his Concrete Boys label was leaving him behind. Officially launched in March of 2024, the talented female rapper Caribou was tipped to be one of the big stars on the label. Initially starting out as Yachty's assistant, her tracks like R.I.P. Follies and Running Late, as well as appearances on TV shows like Dave, Grownish, and On the Come Up, made her seem like one of the most exciting members of the crew. In a shocking turn of events, she has now left the clique, but not before unfollowing all the members, including Yachty. Now, Yachty was left scrambling to explain what happened.
I don't want to say this. I'm gonna say this shit one time, right? We have split ways with Kara as far as this concrete shit. I have nothing to say, nothing bad to say, nothing negative to say about Kara. I wish her the best in her career. Yeah, that's that.
This led to Caribou responding, saying that Yachty was quote-unquote bullying her. She took to her Instagram story to say the following: "Put it on yo kid, I ain't write these songs, Miles," she wrote, addressing Yachty by his government name while referencing the child he welcomed in 2021. "Stop the cap and leave me out of your internet shenanigans." This led to Yachty letting the clip fly on Caribou during an Instagram live, where he accused his former assistant turned artist, claiming that she was actually very abusive towards his bodyguard.
If you want to tell this shit, tell the whole story. Go ahead, tell people how you verbally abuse people, alright?
Don't get on here and make it seem like niggas kicked you out. Bullying you? Bro, go ahead, tell people how you talk to people. How you tell my security guard, oh, you homeless, oh, you work for me, you're poor, we above you, and you talk to people like they nothing, like they small, like they beneath you. How you told me you gonna spit on me when you see me. Your brain is clinically imbalanced, bro.
Then, Yachty just absolutely crashed out. It went on to say that he wrote all of her raps, including her viral On the Radar freestyle.
I've given you a career, and time to time you just disrespect me. I wrote every fucking verse you've done. I dressed you. I gave you that chrome Rolex. You was washing tables. I changed your motherfucking life. And you on here lying, talking about some we bully you? That shit got me fucked up, bro.
Sadly, Caribou wasn't the only one with a bad experience on Yachty's label. Consisting of artists like Cody Shane, J-Bands, Earl the Pearl, Big Brother Chubba, The Good Perry, Aaron Versetti, and BU, Yachty seemed really determined to put them all on. But for one reason or another, they all fell to the side. And in interviews, Yachty has put all of that on them.
So when the selling team became like my brothers and sisters, I kind of felt the need to kind of take care of them. It got to the point where I was spending so much money, like almost $1 million, trying to like create this company out of my own money.
Right.
And they didn't want it for themselves. They were just really lazy. You know what I'm saying? It was like, why am I sitting here trying so hard to make you guys? But that's the thing, like I never wanted money from my friends either. I just really wanted them to be great. I never signed any of them. I never put none of them on paper because I didn't want that. I wanted them to go get their own labels. Just like my old best friend Perry, who I'm not that close to anymore. I never wanted anything from him. Just for him to be great.
More money, more problems.
Great, but that's a long story.
Now, there are fans who think the Concrete Boys aren't so much about creating new talent, but allowing him to justify biting their style. Lil Yachty's Concrete Boys adopted sound was the best career move he could have done. AKA him stealing DC2 Trill's flow and starting a whole crew where they all stole his flow. While he's catching flack for some of his management of the Concrete Boys, he's also catching flack for his work with Ian. Dismissed by most hip-hop fans as a Yeet and Cardi clone, the suburban white kid has been ignored by just about everybody except Yachty. Instead, he's put him on by appearing alongside him at festivals and collabing with him on a recent track called Hate Me. Now, I got a video about Ian coming real soon, but it's songs like these that have caused a lot of confusion. Because wasn't this the same guy who felt that hip-hop needed to move on that is now working with someone who's just rehashing what has already been done as an outsider to the genre? The same man that said hip-hop is in a terrible place, co-signing a trust fund kid cosplaying street rappers. But when it comes to real issues that are propelling forward the Yachty hate train, one of them is definitely his newfound obsession with flaunting his wealth. On that track with Ian, he spit some very boastful bars about his cash that had people doing a double take. No, I'm richer than your favorite rapper. If I'm not, then God kill my mama. Huh. Biggest house on the street. Then, when people tried to check him on his claim, he continued to double down and say that he was the richest of them all. I made $8 million in my first 8 months of rapping in 2016, on God. With all that boasting about his cash, he started to sound like his bestie Drake, and unfortunately for Yachty, this has been another layer of what soured the public on him. Because as well as being name-checked on Euphoria, he's been caping for Drake as hard as academics.
Well, I think people just hate on Drake because he's the guy. It's also probably that he's fucked everyone's bitch, I mean, he's also that guy, though. All the records, all the numbers, like he's the one. I just wish I had never spoke on it. That's the only thing that, like, that was the only part. I wish I hadn't said anything about it.
Just as K-Dot predicted, Yachty has been throwing himself on Drake like a human shield. And in every interview since, he's gone out of his way to insist that Drake is still the king and that he never technically lost any beef.
Because Drake dropped great records, but also let's be fair, Drake was deemed a loser in this battle before it started because people don't like him and haven't, and he's won for a very long time, and he's sat at the top of the throne, and still, honestly, respectfully, I think he still sits at the top of the throne. I don't think that people are going to stop listening to Drake and like Drake's career is going to like flush. Rappers have lost and then lost everything. I don't think that this has happened to Drake. I think Drake will still be in everyone's Wrapped Spotify at the end of the year. He can still drop hits and control the summer. I think that Kendrick made very smart moves. I don't think Drake would disagree.
After Let's Start Here gave Yachty an opportunity to change hip-hop's collective mind when it comes to him, it feels like Boat has gone out of his way to absolutely dismantle any chance that his haters would finally come around. Because every time he speaks, the end result is that he's found another reason for them to believe that he's an arrogant individual who's taken more from hip-hop than he's given. And recently, he gave them evidence that he hasn't grown at all in recent years. In fact, he might still be the same exact kid who was hurt by Budden's comments. When he welcomed Joe onto his A Safe Place podcast, Bo seemed like he had a point to prove to Joe, making it seem like he still held a grudge in the process. As within minutes of the conversation beginning, he was trying to turn the tables on Budden.
At first, it also was a feeling like, oh, this won't last long. Like, these ain't gonna be here for long. These are here, they going my one hit wonders, all the mumble rap, whatever phase, whatever it was. And I just don't remember it being like oh man, we welcome y'all, man, welcome new guys. I think it just became a thing where it was a realization that we weren't going anywhere. There's still a lot of people who like, that ain't for me. And that's fine, but I don't think it was ever just like, what's up, little bro? Pat baton passed. Like, I mean, there were certain guys that showed love, but I don't ever think it was just a smooth hand toss.
After watching, fans couldn't believe how transparent the whole thing was. Yachty brought that shit up in under 3 minutes with the exact date. But it didn't stop there, as now that he felt he was more powerful in hip-hop than Budden, he tried to insist that he was a better rapper too.
Joe, you still rap? You still get in there? You still practice?
Not at all. How can you
You think you still got it?
Always have. It's like riding a bike.
No.
Do you think you're better than him?
In what?
Do you think right now, if me and you went in there, Joe,
Be
you
honest.
could pen a better verse than me?
Well, who's picking the beat?
Obviously not you.
He also suggested that he was more versatile than Joe was.
I can work on anything. I'm gonna push off one of my
If you give me one of them Metroid beats, then you will have the
No,
best verse.
I'm gonna dust off one of my
If
Alchemist
I
beats.
could get to Alchemist,
I'm gonna dust off one
He's
of my
done.
Alchemist beats.
I'm not even dignifying this.
I would love for us to book
Yeah,
a
and
session,
we
me and you
bet,
go in there and
we
rap.
Because I'm retired.
think
That
it'd
would
be
be just a
fun.
fun content
I
piece.
think it would be fun.
If I were not retired, just the thought of this would be an insult to me. I wouldn't even allow it. See, that's why if that Alchemist beat was up and you was no sleep,
No, I would still kill you.
oh my
I'm not gonna lie,
God,
that's
a
a peak.
morning session?
In the
I'm walking in
morning?
with coffee?
I'm not
Who's
gonna lie,
recording
Joe.
in the morning?
I'm not gonna lie,
Me.
Joe.
Psychopath Virgos.
The whole exchange was a little tense, with Joe trying his best to take it in good humor. But the major takeaway wasn't that Budden got clowned. It was that Yachty was still in his feelings about what happened all of those years ago. Yachty's still hurt. His passive-aggressive tone and attack is hilarious. Heal, bro. After so many years of being doubted and finally releasing a critically acclaimed album, Yachty has obviously developed a chip on his shoulder. He wants to let all of those people who thought he was just a one-hit wonder know that he's still there, richer than ever, working with big artists like Drake, and shining brighter than they ever could. The only problem is that he's doing it so obnoxiously that it's off-putting to his supporters too. Plus, all of the stuff with the Concrete Boys and Ian isn't exactly a good look either. Now, it's actually reached the point where he's being chased off of social media entirely.
I'm gone off this internet shit. I think I'm gone for the rest of the year. Contracted to do this podcast shit, unfortunately, but I ain't posting no more shit. I'm deleting the apps off my phone. Swear to God.
For Yachty, this could be a really good move. Because in a social media fueled era, separating art from the artist is basically impossible, and if he keeps going the way he is, he might end up dealing with more hate now than he ever did in 2016 when he first popped off as a so-called mumble rapper. Now, he should just focus on making music and leave the social media clout chasing to artists on the come up. As always, it's your boy Luesta, and if you guys like this video, you're definitely gonna like one of the 2 videos on the screen. Till next time, my friends, make sure you guys tap in a few days for the next video, and I'll catch you then. Peace.
Right. Okay. Eh. Eh.
It's getting harder and harder to defend Nintendo. They're making it real hard to be a Nintendo fan these days, right? So a couple of days after Nintendo went after, how many controversies have they found themselves in the last couple of weeks? We had the Power World lawsuit, which is ridiculous because Nintendo patented gameplay. And the gameplay that they patented is common in several games, not just Power World, but they're using it to try to take out Pocket Pair. We had that. Then we had their price hike, and then we had the let's see and they're saying now they're saying with the prices, even if the tariff situation gets resolved, that they still might just keep the prices up. Yeah, I was like, of course they will. Of course they will. If you're gonna pay $90 for Mario Kart, they're gonna take your money, right? They're not gonna be like, no, we feel really bad charging people $90 for Mario Kart. Let's just eat into our profits and drop it down to $50 or whatever. So we have that, and then we also have a situation with the game sharing where the new situation now, you've got the digital virtual card or whatever, which I noticed during a power outage, and it sucked because I couldn't play any of my offline games because I had to be online to verify that I have my virtual card or whatever in the Switch. So I'm like, what the frick? The only game I could play is my Sega Genesis collection from a couple of years ago, because I already had that in the machine. I guess it was already verified. So they have that. So they pretty much put the kibosh on game sharing, which as a business, look, I understand. But they keep sneaking this stuff into their EULA. And then sounds bad. Now they got busted doing something else. So this is Neon from Clownfish TV, by the way. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Go out to news.clownfishtv.com too while you're at it. Thank you very much. So yeah, I think this is games journalist Stephen Totillo, I think, is the one who found this in the EULA, and it's making the rounds all over the place. Engadget has it. Nintendo grants itself the power to brick your Switch with pirated games. So yeah, if you make any alterations to your Switch,
it'll stop working.
They can brick your machine like forever. Like it just will no longer work. So you can spend $450 on a Switch or Switch 2, and it's not
Are you serious? That is diabolical. Get a PC. Get a fucking PC. Get a PC. Get a PC. Don't play Nintendo games. Get a PC. Get a PC. I'm telling you. I used to be a console hoodlum myself. I don't even fuck with consoles like that anymore. I really don't. Not anymore. It's just more easy. Just get a PC. Get a PC. It will save you, bro. Get a PC. Now that could be expensive. I understand that. Why some of you might run with a whole console still. I get that. I'm not gonna put that off because I know being on a budget is one thing. But if you have the money, get a PC.
That's not going to work anymore. Yeah, the latest update to okay. So I guess if the line of thought here is if you're not doing anything wrong, right? But this seems like massive overkill. It seems like massive overkill. Latest update to the user agreement threatens anyone caught using mods or illegally obtained games. So even mods. Nintendo's latest legal move to combat piracy may be super effective. According to a new change in the EULA, the Nintendo user agreement, the console maker can brick your Switch or render it useless if it's found with pirated games or mods. That is some grade A horse shit. You don't even own your console now. And there are going to be Nintendo defenders that come out and are like, no, this is just normal. This is how it's supposed to be. You don't actually own your console. You don't actually own your games. You're just leasing them. And Nintendo, you're leasing them for $90. And Nintendo, they're so kind and generous and benevolent. They're just letting you play their games for a very low fee. It's $450. God. And people are going to pay it. Like Nintendo has become the Disney of video games at this point. It's like people are gonna pay it. Like they can be, they can just treat their customers like shit, and they'll still pay it. I mean, I love Nintendo games, I do, but their legal department is just batshit crazy. I mean, they're out of control, and I think what I'm afraid of with Nintendo with their
other people do it
lawfare is that they're going to set a lot of really dangerous precedents for smacking down competitors using lawfare and also punishing users doing things that they don't think they should be doing. And they've always been very aggressive when it comes to, emulation and ROMs and that sort of thing. But this is a whole nother level. Like, we will brick your Switch. We will shut your damn machine off. You will not be able to use it if you're caught modding, if you're suspected of modding. Some people may have glazed over the changes since Nintendo didn't make the major announcement. Yeah, they didn't. Of course they didn't. Why would they announce that? Like, people lose their shit. They're hoping to just sneak it in. GameFile Stephen Totillo dug through the changes and spotted the major updates. In Nintendo's own words, you shouldn't bypass, modify, decrypt, defeat, tamper with, or otherwise circumvent any of the functions or protections of the Nintendo account service. The company's previous agreement only prohibited it if you adapt, reverse engineer, or modify your Nintendo user account. But this updated language gives exact definitions of what you can't do with your Switch. If you break the rules, Nintendo could make your applicable Nintendo device permanently unusable in whole or in part. In plain English, that means if you're found with an emulator or pirated copy of games, your Switch might end up being a very expensive paperweight. And also, because you're always online, they know where you live, they got your contact information, you know, it's like, oh yeah, okay, well, we got your credit card information, so we'll just find out who you are, and we'll go to your house. Because I could totally see them doing that. This latest legal leap isn't surprising considering Nintendo's strict stance on emulation. In March 2024, the company filed a lawsuit against popular Switch emulator called Yuzu, claiming the developers were facilitating piracy. Later that year, another emulator called Ryujinx shut down after Nintendo offered an agreement to the development team to discontinue the project in October. Yeah, this is overkill, I think. I get why they're trying to crack down on piracy, but they're like, yeah, your Switch is just completely unusable if you've got an emulator or something on it. So this is the original article from GameFile, but they said, yeah, the Mario Maker just updated its user agreement to also warn of potential service discontinuations and to acknowledge how it may monitor Switch users' online chats. So if you go out to see, where is this from? Tom's Guide. Tom's Guide has it. Updated privacy policy. Additionally, the Nintendo account privacy policy has been altered. It appears both policies are being updated ahead of the release of the Switch 2 and the game chat feature. The privacy policy now says Nintendo will have the ability to record video and voice chat stored on your console if you consent to it. According to the policy, this is meant for people who encounter language or behavior that may violate applicable laws to ensure a safe and family-friendly online environment. All right, well, that's something you could do already with, like, you know, Zoom or Skype. Oh, RIP Skype. Yeah. So this is, I don't know, guys. This is getting kind of dystopian here, I think. Right? They just like shut your damn machine off remotely, and I mean, look. I mean, technically Microsoft could, technically Apple could, right? But it's, you know, and I don't know how many people are really going to be using emulators or modding their Switches or whatever, but I'm like, are they going to extend this to be like, oh, we suspect you of having a bootleg, or you bought a game that's a bootleg game and you know it was a bootleg, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of gray. So we're just going to shut your Switch off. And then we're going to pull a WotC and send like the Pinkertons to your house or something. I don't know about that, but they're really cracking down on this. And look, I get it. You're a business. You got to make money, maximum profit. But within the last month and a half, 2 months, Nintendo has just kept stepping on that rake again and again. I think people are starting to change their opinion on Nintendo being like this family-friendly company, but they're still going to throw money at them. I mean, they are. Right? I mean, it's Disney. It's the Disney of video games. And so there it is, guys. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. We'll talk later.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. I don't know how I feel about that one. I don't know about that one, bro.
Am I crazy, or does it seem like gaming is gasping and wheezing on the side of a road while some soulless CEO tries to get us all hooked on the smack of live services?
Looks like with a 5G network streaming latency-free gaming to every device you own, it's really easy to imagine that games would permeate our lives much the way digital music does today. From the minute I get up in the morning, everything I do has an impact on my gaming life, both discrete and indiscrete. The amount of eggs I have in my internet-enabled fridge might mean my Sims are better off in my game. The length of distance I drive in my Tesla on the way to work might mean that I get more juice and Need for Speed. If I go to soccer practice in the afternoon by virtue of internet-enabled soccer boots, that might give me juice or new cards in my FIFA product.
What?
I mean,
bro, no, 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 what the fuck? No, no, no! It is getting dystopian. This is getting dystopian. What the hell? No! I just realized what the hell he's talking about. I was like, no! So, let me get this straight. So, everything from the shoes I wear to the fridge I have is going to be connected to my video game from EA? So, like, if I'm playing Sims, right? And I have eggs and food in my actual refrigerator, and because my refrigerator is connected to the Wi-Fi on my computer, on my internet network, and I can connect that to my console or my computer to my game, whatever in my fridge will be in my game. Fuck no.
Nerve. The temerity.
The business model where you pay for everything and you own nothing. Over the last few years, it's clear that the gaming industry is headed face first into another industry collapse. When FIFA underperformed 2 years in a row for EA, I knew the jig was up. Either that or the fans of FIFA realized they were paying full price for the same game over and over again with small yearly incremental updates.
He's out of line, but he's right.
EA Sports, FC25, flops, spooks investors, sinks stock prices.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer company.
Oh no, what happened?
The company maintained a positive outlook with regards to its gaming quality. This month our team delivered a comprehensive gameplay refresh in addition to our annual Team of the Year update in FC25. EA CEO Andrew Wilson said, "Positive player feedback and early results are encouraging."
Microtransactions, subscriptions, in-game rewards, and additional revenue outside of the base game sales represent the majority of EA's business. The live services and other segments accounted for more than 73% of the $7.56 billion in 2024. Revenues up from 66% since 2020.
Andrew Wilson. Mr. Sinister if he got into gaming instead of mutant genetics.
When I look at FIFA, it reminds me of something in the motorcycle world that I like to call the Gixxer effect. Suzuki has sold the same GSXR 750 since 2011. FIFA's pretty much that for EA. Oh yeah, and Dragon Age crashed and burned, that also hurt EA stocks a bit too, but highlighting that is like beating a dead horse. Ubisoft was reeling from the bad press of Assassin's Creed Shadows. It was a success or a massive failure, depending on who you spoke to on Twitter.
It don't matter. None of this matters.
But one thing is irrefutably true. They still had to sell out 25% of the company to Tencent.
Ubisoft's $4 billion carve-out sells Tencent a 25% stake in some of its biggest games. Tencent will invest $1.3 billion in a new entity controlling Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. The moronicism of Ubisoft is driven home by the success of a developer who quit the company to do his own game to critical acclaim. Claire Obscure, Expedition 33 director, left Ubisoft because he was bored. According to Guillaume Broche, it would have taken 25 years to navigate all the bureaucracy in AAA studios just to get started on the game. Claire Obscure sold 2 million copies in 12 days. In that timeline, Assassin's Creed sold 1 million copies, but claimed to have 3 million players, which leads me to believe that they were also counting people playing it on Ubisoft Plus. The problem with gaming today is that it's too corporate, it's too mainstream, and when these elements worm their way into any hobby, into any subculture, creativity is crushed under the weight of bureaucracy, political correctness, and the never-ending pursuit of money. We are in the digital dark age, and if you don't believe me... Call of Duty, Jay and Silent Bob, fire up Call of Duty their way.
The 420 way, am I right? The devil's cabbage, gotta smoke it.
Call of Duty, threat level, extremely giggly. Seth Rogen joins the fight in Call of Duty, coming to Season 3 of Reloaded.
How does it feel to have lived long enough to see all of your favorite franchises go down in flames?
Feels great.
In an age of creative stagnation, there can only be imitation. Call of Duty and many other shooters are reduced to copying Fortnite in some sad attempt to stay relevant by putting celebrities from the early 2000s in the game.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
Because a 15-year-old loves weed humor from creatively geriatric comedians that haven't been funny in the last decade and a half. But not to be outdone, EA also has some horrible news yet again.
Titanfall game has been canceled at EA Respawn. It was an extraction shooter.
No! I was looking forward to that. What? Fuck no! No, not Titanfall. Come on, bro. That's bullshit.
300 to 400 jobs at EA were eliminated today.
Don't worry, the shareholders see profit and growth, so that's all that really matters.
Titanfall was created by the original members of Infinity Ward, who were canceled by Activision after the original Modern Warfare dropped and blew our collective minds.
Fucking Titanfall 3 got canceled. That's crazy, dude. No.
Ward had created a high-energy shooter in the style that made them famous, with the futuristic twist and also having some killer mechs in the mix. Titanfall arguably was the last unique first-person shooter. I guess when Apex Legends dropped and it had more diversity than a bag of Skittles.
That's what it is. They can't. It's really hard to push your agenda when it's just giant robots half the time and people wearing masks on their face.
Seen the writing on the wall that I would never see Titanfall again, especially when EA loves games that focus on selling digital garbage. Anyway, Respawn posted a long corporate letter that mirrors all corporate letters we have seen 1,000 times for Forevermore and Sancionados. A whole lot of word salad that ultimately means someone's getting fired, a game has been canceled, and we need to free up money for the CEO's bonuses. After Liberation Day Jack punched the socio-economic landscape right in the sweetness like Bitcoin did last fall, the house of cards known as the gaming industry came tumbling down. Nintendo decided it wasn't going to wait for GTA to make the $100 base game the standard. It went right for the throat with digital copies of old Zelda games that you could buy on eBay for $20 to $40. Now it's $70 to $80. Cough it up for Miyamoto.
These fuckers. Dude, they got rid of Titanfall. How do you cancel Titanfall, bro? That's some bullshit.
That price is not so bad. The game itself is a little expensive. Okay. Now with tariffs, we don't know if the tariffs are affecting this console right now. We do know that in 2019, Nintendo moved production of the console out of China to Vietnam to avoid the tariff war. But as we know today, Vietnam was just hit with tariffs. So we have no idea how that's going to work or anything like that. You would hope that Nintendo might have planned that into the release of the system, but we'll see from there.
Touches so.
What also amazes me is how Nintendo's completely come out and let everyone know that if you modify your Switch 2, that they have every right to brick your console and make it totally unusable. Only the gaming industry has such absolute hubris and disdain for their own customer base. Could you imagine buying a car or motorcycle, putting an exhaust on it, and then, I don't know, Ducati's just like, sorry, bud, we detected that you put an exhaust in your bike, so we're now going to do this to it so your bike never works again. Thank you very much.
On May 1st, Microsoft went ham, jacking prices for consoles no one was in a mad rush to buy in the first place.
Microsoft is raising prices on the Xbox console with games set to hit $80 this year.
Oh, what a treat, what a treat.
As of May 1st, we'll be adjusting our recommended retail pricing for our consoles and controllers worldwide. We also expect to adjust the pricing of some of our new first-party games starting this holiday season at $79.99.
Some of these games are on PC, and now they're going to PlayStation. You have no bartering chips.
We understand that these changes are challenging, and that they were made with careful consideration given the market conditions and the rising cost of development. Looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play more games across many screens and ensuring value of the Xbox players.
The tariffs are accelerating the gaming industry crash. How can we be expected to pay more for such mediocrity? This may be why the gaming industry is relying so heavily on GTA 6, but with it being delayed till May, the hope for a $100 base game will take another 6 months minimal. And when that happens, the final ushering in of the triple-digit game era will begin, which, if judging by internet reactions and Take-Two stock prices skyrocketing, the people will pay. We are the only generation that has lived through at least 4 life-altering events in the last 8 years. And the only thing one can glean from all of this is,
it can always get more lame and gay. I guess the $100 digital game is next on the menu.
This is fine. I'm getting impatient at this point. News of the delay has landed hard with fans such as Diane Kawende, 27. I'm absolutely furious right now. He tells the BBC News Beat, there's fire flowing through my body right now. This ruffles my jammies!
Little dude was crashing out. He was spazzing hard.
GTA 6 will only be available on PlayStation 5 and Xbox at launch, meaning owners of older consoles will need to upgrade to play it.
A 27-year-old man is losing it to play his video game. Not a 12-year-old. With little else to look forward to in their life due to a lack of freedom, this generation is cooked.
Can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
Grand Theft Auto 6 delay just affected the entire video game industry. What's clear is that Grand Theft Auto 6 has found itself touted as the linchpin to the video game industry's near future. Any news on the project's development has a huge ripple effect. So how does a 6-month delay reflect significant change in Rockstar's corporate culture? What calls into question this year's console market revenue and potentially affect the Switch 2?
Isn't the Switch 2 coming out like in a few days? Like, how does it make sense?
I don't know. You're buying digital games. I'm sorry. As much as digital games are very convenient, they are glorified rental. That's what they are. Because as soon as the games, especially as AAA space, if it's like a subscription based type game or like something that only focuses on battle passes and stuff, if that's how they make their main income, if the game doesn't sell well or it doesn't really vibe, it's gonna be dead in the water. So this is why you don't buy not buy a game, but you invest these type of monies into these games, because when you do that, the game can, for whatever reason, be shut down. For whatever reason, and then all that money you put into that said game, Fortnite, then or Apex, any game you put your money into, what was the Hyper something? It was a game called Hyperscape, some game that was a battle royale, first person shooter. I don't know, I forgot what it was called, Hyper something, and it was being played by nearly every streamer, and it died within like 2 months. People who bought cosmetics and stuff lost money. You lost money. You put all your money in those cosmetics and it's gone.
This generation needs a definitive console shift title. It needs Grand Theft Auto
Destiny
6.
2.
If you're a publisher
Destiny's
releasing
still around. Destiny's still around, actually, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
at the same time as Grand Theft Auto 6 is akin to throwing a bucket of water in a tsunami.
when the entire industry needs and also fears one game, that's not a sign of growth, it's not a sign of creativity, it's a sign of absolute stagnation, to the point of where people are so bored that they only care about one game in a console generation, when there used to be entire armies of great games on a console, or multiple consoles. Not to mention GTA 6 isn't really pushing the industry itself forward, it's more about making the $100 base game a thing. Because all of these other companies know that only GTA can pull this off. Considering that GTA 5 made $8.5 billion, by 2024, Take-Two is foaming at the mouth off of the very idea of the $80 plus base game. And the money printer known as GTA Online shark cards. The shark cards that Take-Two wanted to defend so badly, they literally took down modding sites for Grand Theft Auto 5 because they thought gamers were less likely to spend more money on a free skin. If anything, GTA 6 will usher in a new age of games as service and cash grabbing. New heights of digital avarice will be achieved. The events that will unfold will not be undone. It will embolden already tone-deaf AAA game companies to try and emulate GTA's success by focusing solely on its monetization practices, and the industry will collapse under the weight of its own greed. Oh well, as a wise man once said,
Don't matter. None of this matters.
and on that I'm going to bed. I will admit GTA 6 does look cool though.
That's so sad. It's so sad, bro. Oh no, man.
Vin Diesel, the man, the myth, the gravelly voiced enigma. For decades, Diesel has graced our screens with performances so iconic, so unforgettable, that you would almost believe he's an incredible actor. Almost. But let's face it, Vin Diesel has about as much acting range as a toaster. And not a fancy toaster, no touchscreen or bagel mode. I'm talking about a $12 Walmart special. Let's dive into the masterpiece of mediocrity that is Vin Diesel's acting career. Vin Diesel has exactly two modes: gruff family man, gruff lone wolf. In Fast and Furious, he's Dom Toretto, a gruff family man. In Riddick, he's a gruff lone wolf. In Guardians of the Galaxy, he's a tree, but somehow still manages to be gruff tree wolf. The dude's entire emotional spectrum exists somewhere between I'm very tough and I'm very tough, but with a single tear. You could replace half his dialogue with grunts, and the movie wouldn't change at all. In fact, it might improve. Vin Diesel has one facial expression, the scowl. You know the one. Eyebrows furrowed, lips slightly pursed, like he's permanently constipated but too proud to admit it. Whether he's racing cars, fighting aliens, or staring into the abyss, it's the same look. You could splice together footage of Diesel from Fast 5, Riddick, and XXX into one mega movie, and no one would notice it's actually three different characters. Now don't get me wrong, some actors have a signature look. Clint Eastwood squints. The Rock raises an eyebrow. Vin Diesel? He looks like a guy trying to solve a Sudoku puzzle without knowing the rules. Vin Diesel's voice, it's so deep it could shake the foundation of your house, but that's where the magic ends. He delivers every line like it's a eulogy for his pet goldfish. In The Fast and the Furious, Dom talks about family like it's the most sacred thing in the universe. I don't got friends. I got family. Okay, cool, Vin, but why does it sound like you're reading it off a napkin you found 5 seconds ago? And don't even get me started on Groot. Marvel was like, hey Vin, we want you to say 3 words in different inflections. And Diesel was like, I'm gonna need 3 months and a soundproof booth. To his credit, he nailed, I am Groot. But let's not pretend that was an Oscar-worthy achievement. Here's every Vin Diesel movie boiled down to its essence. Vin Diesel walks into a room. Someone questions his toughness. He growls, maybe punches something. A fight, car chase, alien battle ensues. He wins because he's Vin Diesel. Insert cheesy one-liner about family or destiny. That's it. That's the whole script, every movie. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. He's like a human cheat code for screenwriters who ran out of ideas. Now I know what you're thinking, but what about Saving Private Ryan? What about the Iron Giant? Okay, fine, I'll give you the Iron Giant. He plays a giant robot with no emotions, which is basically Vin Diesel's entire brand. And in Saving Private Ryan, he gets shot like 5 minutes in, so maybe Spielberg saw the writing on the wall. But even in his best roles, Diesel never breaks out of his comfort zone. You'll never see him in a dramatic period piece or a romantic comedy. Can you imagine Vin Diesel in Pride and Prejudice? It is a truth universally acknowledged that I'm the toughest dude in the room. Nah, it just doesn't work. Look, Vin Diesel isn't bad. He's consistent, like Taco Bell. You know what you're getting, explosions, muscles, and a speech about family. But don't kid yourself into thinking he's some kind of acting chameleon. He's a one-trick pony with a really deep voice, and that's okay. Not every actor needs to have range. But until the day Vin Diesel stars in a Shakespeare adaptation, I'm standing by this. The man has the acting range of a rock, and not a fancy rock, a gravel driveway rock. Vin Diesel is who you call when you need a scowling, growling action hero. And honestly, the world wouldn't have it any other way.
I can't, you know. But when the actor is more. What? No.
In the vast landscape of cinema, few actors have displayed such unwavering commitment to a single facial expression as Jason Statham. With the precision of a Swiss watch that only tells one time, Statham has masterfully crafted a career out of looking perpetually annoyed at the universe. Statham's journey began in Guy Ritchie's Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, where he played a character whose primary personality trait was being Jason Statham. This groundbreaking performance established what would become his signature approach, looking thoroughly disgruntled while speaking in a gravelly London accent. In Snatch, he boldly expanded this range by playing a character who was Jason Statham, but this time in slightly different clothes. The Transporter franchise marked a crucial evolution in Statham's craft, where he discovered that his characters could not only look annoyed, but could do so while performing increasingly improbable automotive stunts. Here, he developed what scholars now refer to as the Statham spectrum of expression, which ranges from mildly inconvenienced by having to save the world to rather peeved about having to save the world again. His dramatic repertoire in these films consists primarily of subtle variations, squinting intensely, squinting more intensely, and squinting so intensely that physicists worry about the formation of a black hole. The trilogy showcases his remarkable ability to maintain exactly the same level of irritation, whether he's fighting off dozens of armed thugs or simply waiting for his dry cleaning. As his career progressed, Statham demonstrated an almost supernatural ability to appear in films that were simultaneously different, yet exactly the same. In Crank, he played a man who had to keep his adrenaline high to stay alive, allowing...
Okay, how does it look? Also, I've been working on my shapes and forms, like the boxes and cylinders and stuff. I feel like I'm lacking there. Let's see, because I tried to draw a water bottle today and it looked horrific. That's fine. They teach. It's been a while. I haven't drawn often these days, but I came back again and I'm drawing right now. Okay. Let's see. Let me think. I sound low. I sound low. Okay, there we go. That's much better. Okay, so let's see. So the problem with the leg, it's the elevation of the left leg, and given that the left leg's higher, the foot needs to be a lot more tippy-toed. You gotta really get those ankles in there. Crotch area is a little bit wonk. We need to straighten that out, and then keep those love handles in check. Love handles are almost non-existent. You need to put that together as well. I'll do a video on that. I'll send you a video on that. I can't do it now, but I'll send you a video on that.
Allowing him to look angry while engaging in increasingly absurd situations.
I'll show you a demonstration.
The sequel, Crank High Voltage, pushed this concept further by having him look angry while engaging in even more absurd situations, but with electricity. Statham's commitment to consistency extends beyond his facial expressions to his wardrobe choices. The full spectrum of his clothing options runs from black shirt to slightly darker black shirt, with occasional forays into black suits for formal frowning. In particularly daring roles, he might don a black leather jacket over a black shirt, causing fashion critics to scramble for their thesauruses in search of new ways to describe the color black. For scenes requiring maximum tactical efficiency, he forgoes shirts entirely, allowing his perpetually tensed muscles to express the full range of his displeasure with whatever situation he's currently punching his way out of. Perhaps the most striking aspect of Statham's dedication to consistency is his hair, or rather, the studied absence thereof. While lesser actors struggle with changing hairstyles and the endless maintenance of their locks, Statham has eliminated this variable entirely. His smooth dome serves as a blank canvas for the play of light upon his perpetually furrowed brow, a minimalist statement that screams, in a gravelly whisper, "I mean business." His standard speaking voice resembles gravel in a blender, while his angry voice adds extra rocks to the mix. When whispering, he sounds like a cement mixer having a secret, and his yelling voice is simply his angry voice with the volume knob turned to maximum. His physical presence is equally consistent. He stands as if gravity has personally offended him, walks like someone who's caught the sidewalk talking behind his back, and runs as though the concept of distance itself has insulted his family. When fighting, every muscle in his body tenses, including several that anatomists haven't discovered yet. In recent years, Statham has expanded his repertoire to include appearing annoyed in major franchises. In the Expendables series, he achieved the remarkable feat of standing out as the most serious person in a group of perpetually serious people. His role in the Fast and Furious franchise allowed him to explore new territory, being angry about cars in a slightly different context than being angry about cars in The Transporter. An interesting phenomenon occurs in Statham's films. The more expressive and emotional the supporting cast becomes, the more steadfastly he maintains his signature stoicism. It's as if there's a finite amount of emotional expression allowed in any given scene, and Statham has generously decided to let his co-stars use all of it. Some might argue that Statham's true genius lies in his ability to make every character he plays immediately recognizable as Jason Statham. Lesser actors might accidentally stumble into character development or emotional complexity, but not our Jason. He has perfected the art of being exactly who we expect him to be, every single time, without the burdensome distraction of range. In an industry obsessed with versatility, Statham stands as a beacon of unchanging stability. While other actors waste time exploring characters or showing emotional depth, he has efficiently streamlined the entire process down to its essence, scowling and punching things, preferably while wearing black. Perhaps we're all missing the point. In a world of artistic pretension and theatrical range, maybe Jason Statham is actually performing the most avant-garde piece of all. A career-spanning performance art installation exploring the concept of immutable constants in an ever-changing universe. His unwavering commitment to being exactly the same in every role might be a profound commentary on the illusion of change in a deterministic universe. Or maybe he's just really good at looking angry while doing stunts. In the end, Jason Statham's career stands as a testament to the power of finding your niche and defending it with the same intensity with which his characters defend whatever they're being paid to defend in any given movie. His contribution to cinema can be summed up in one word: consistency. Or perhaps two words: consistent consistency. Here's to Jason Statham, the man who proved that if you find one note you like, you might as well play it until the piano breaks, then stare at the broken piano with deep disapproval while somehow making it explode.
Alright. Bro. Oh my god. Okay. Man, I really need dental insurance.
Exception. Now let's hurry up and get this video going. Lea Michele has dinner plans. After the success of 2000's Best Picture-winning, crowd-pleasing Gladiator, it was clear that Russell Crowe was an A-list star. But he could have told you that before the movie was even made. While reading an early Gladiator script, Crowe felt that one line in particular was pretentious and unnatural. But he also said he could pull it off because he was the, quote, greatest actor in the world.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Aside from being able to deliver lackluster lines, being the greatest actor apparently allows a guy to treat his co-workers like garbage. At one point during filming, Crowe allegedly threatened to kill noted producer and Holocaust survivor Branko Lustig with his bare hands, and he claimed co-star Oliver Reed was an unruly, cruel drunk. Crowe also took a dislike to Joaquin Phoenix. To be fair, Phoenix had his own issues during production. Phoenix was unsure about playing the famously repugnant Commodus in Gladiator, at one point refusing to film his scenes despite already being in costume. And if you think that makes him belong on this list, well, stay tuned. Crow allegedly called Phoenix's behavior unprofessional, and he'd know a thing or two about that. After filming Taylor Hackford's Proof of Life, Crow and his co-star Meg Ryan were outed as having an affair. To avoid press scrutiny, Ryan and Crow refused to do many press events for the film, a decision that Hackford ultimately blamed for the film's commercial failure. Russell Crowe may be arrogant, but he also may have been onto something when talking about Joaquin Phoenix. In addition to his threats to leave during the filming of Gladiator, Phoenix threatened to quit another Crowe and Ridley Scott collaboration. While working on Napoleon, Phoenix threatened to quit again, this time because he refused to shoot the film without rewrites. Even when he's on set and ready to act, Phoenix is hesitant to comply with many normal parts of the filmmaking process. On the set of Joker, Phoenix was such a nightmare for the film's makeup team that the lead artist in charge of continuity actually quit. Phoenix would constantly leave the makeup chair and even stay away from scenes between takes without telling anyone. But at least he was consistent. Even before production began, he was annoying Robert De Niro for refusing to participate in a table read of the script. Phoenix has since apologized for his behavior while filming Joker, but his reputation for being difficult to work with is getting harder and harder to ignore. After Emmy Rossum decided 9 seasons of playing Fiona on Shameless was enough, she took to Facebook to write a highly positive message about her experience on the show. That's all well and good for Rossum, but other people on set didn't have the same experience. When Emma Kenny, who played Fiona's younger sister Debbie on Shameless, was interviewed on the Call Her Daddy podcast, she bluntly addressed what it was like to work with Rossum. And it wasn't a glowing review. Recalling her experience, Kenny said, "I'd go to set some days and I'd be very anxious having a scene with her because if she had a bad day, she made it a bad day for everybody." Rossum's reputation for being difficult has also been discussed over on Reddit, with one user who claimed to work on the same Warner Brothers lot as Shameless alleging, "I get that we all have bad days, but every day was a bad day for her, to the point where hearing her scream every day became a running gag between me and my co-workers."
Of course, this is all about you.
Yes, it's about me, okay? Because it's never about me, and I'm finally making it about me.
Fans of Criminal Minds will recognize Agent Aaron Hotchner as an even-handed leader. He's known for his ability to remain calm even in the most tense situations a network crime drama can come up with. Hotchner's real-life counterpart, however, has been known to be anything but. In 2010, Thomas Gibson got into a heated argument with the show's assistant director, Ian Wolfe, during which he allegedly shoved the crew member, which understandably unsettled the cast and crew. In 2016, Gibson apparently decided that he hadn't rattled the crew enough, so he got into an argument with writer and producer Virgil Williams on set. The disagreement allegedly escalated to the point where Gibson kicked Williams in the shin.
"You kick like a 9-year-old girl."
Fellow cast member Shamar Moore, who's allegedly no stranger to feuds with Gibson, indicated he was not surprised by his former workmate's actions. Gibson ended up fired from the show. Reportedly, the fight with Williams was Gibson's third strike, following his previous altercation and a 2013 DUI that led to a suspension of his driver's license. Observant Fast and Furious fans may have picked up on the subtle messaging throughout the franchise that Dominic Toretto and his crew have a special bond.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Real-life Vin Diesel can probably just stop after the first part of that line, at least according to some people. After Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson joined the Fast and Furious universe in Fast 5, rumors of their on-set disagreements made it clear that neither of them was smelling what the other was cooking. The family feud continued through the filming and release of the 8th film, The Fate of the Furious, with an insider telling Entertainment Tonight, "There were several times Vin was late to set, and it really started Dwayne and other cast and crew off." These rumors trailed what was apparently an extended feud between Diesel and Johnson, largely conducted through the super action-packed medium of passive-aggressive social media posts. But while those two seemed to eventually bury the hatchet, Diesel allegedly drove director Justin Lin so crazy with his creative demands that Lin quit the movie. Instead of just leaving it as a usual creative differences excuse, the director made his feelings pretty clear by saying, quote, "This movie is not worth my mental health." No word on whether he's invited to the next family barbecue. It all started with a button when James Franco won a 2018 Golden Globe for his portrayal of Tommy Wiseau in Disaster Artist. Multiple actresses who had worked with him commented on social media about the hypocrisy of him wearing a Me Too button after his alleged past of creepy behavior. In one of what turned out to be many examples, actress Sarah Tither Kaplan, who had been a student at Franco's now-defunct acting school, tweeted, "Remember a few weeks ago when you told me the full nudity you had me do in 2 of your movies for $100 a day wasn't exploitative because I signed a contract to do it? Disappointingly, Franco's behavior wasn't exactly a secret before he was called out. Earlier that year, Page Six reported that actress Charlene Yi attempted to break her contract for the disaster artist so that she wouldn't have to work with Franco. When Seth Rogen and the film's other producers tried to convince her to stay, she cried and told them, quote, "I didn't feel safe working with a sexual predator." His alleged problematic behavior went back to some of his earliest roles. Busy Phillips, Franco's old co-star from Freaks and Geeks, referred to Franco as a bully in her 2018 memoir, and she meant that in every sense of the word. In the book, she alleges that he knocked her to the ground during one scene that required their characters to have a verbal altercation. Emma Roberts once claimed that it's hard being a Nepo baby, and it seems that it can be hard to work with one too. There have long been rumors and whispers that have circulated about Roberts' behavior on set, but her American Horror Story 1984 co-star Angelica Ross has what's easily one of the worst stories. In an Instagram live video, Ross, who is transgender, detailed an incident involving her, Roberts, and the episode's director, John J. Gray. Roberts jokingly complained to Gray that Ross was being mean to her, to which Gray responded, quote, "Okay, ladies."
She then looks at me and she goes, "Don't you mean lady?"
As Ross noted on her Instagram live, the comment was obviously transphobic, but she added that Roberts played mind games with everyone on set. Ross later accepted an apology from Roberts, but to many, the damage was done. Jared Leto can be called many things: method actor, musician, and if his behavior on the set of the first Suicide Squad is anything to go by, he's also a dude who needs to take it down a notch. Leto took his role as an especially nihilistic version of the Joker so seriously that, in the name of getting into character, he reportedly played unwelcome jokes on the film's other actors and sent them fairly disgusting gifts. As Viola Davis recalled to Vanity Fair, he had a tech man who would come into the rehearsal room, and the henchman came in with a dead pig and plopped it on the table, and then he walked out. And that was our introduction into Jared Leto. He also sent along what appeared to be used condoms and adult toys to cast members because, as he told E! News, the Joker is somebody who doesn't really respect things like personal space or boundaries. So, for at least a brief period, neither did Jared Leto. Michael Pitt's behavior was so bad that other crew members plotted to kill him, or at least kill off his character. Close enough. Multiple crew members alleged that on the set of Boardwalk Empire, Pitt frequently showed up late to work, often without his lines memorized. He repeatedly tried to change his lines, vocally expressed his satisfaction with his character's direction, and even got into a fistfight with a co-star. Another crew member claimed that he'd worked with Pitt on another production, but the actor similarly would show up hours late and question the director's vision and authority. Rumors are one thing, but according to Deadline, United Talent Agency released Pitt from its client roles in 2011 because he's, quote, really difficult on set and otherwise. So, where there's smoke, there's fire. And where there's Michael Pitt, there's probably people complaining about how late he is. Lea Michele might be a diva, but at least she knows it. As she told Allure in 2011, "I came from the theater world, where the word diva was awesome." Okay, what isn't awesome is her alleged behavior on the set of Glee. According to Us Weekly, there was an occasion when some technical problems delayed shooting. Most actors would just roll with this, waiting around is part of the job. On this occasion, Michelle reportedly snapped her fingers and shouted, "Let's go, I have plans." She also apparently developed a nasty feud with her Glee co-star, Naya Rivera. In her 2016 memoir, Sorry Not Sorry, Rivera claims that Michelle, quote, didn't like sharing the spotlight and that she didn't respond well to criticism. By the filming of the 6th season of the show in 2014, Michelle would no longer speak to Rivera. Say what you will about Charlie Sheen, because whatever you say about him is probably true. In 2011, Sheen partook in one of Hollywood's most famous benders when he partied for several days straight in Las Vegas with an adult film actress, then entered rehab, which, cool, you do you, Charlie. The problem was that his partying shut down production on 2.5 Men. After doubling down by lashing out at Chuck Lorre, the show's creator, CBS ultimately fired Sheen. This was huge news in the entertainment world at the time, wrecking a successful show at the height of its popularity. Despite all of that, Sheen landed another starring role on FX's Anger Management alongside Selma Blair. But according to TMZ, when Blair told the show's producers that Sheen had a weak work ethic and a lack of punctuality, he told producers that he wouldn't show up to shoot if she wasn't dismissed. Forced to choose, the brass chose the actor with the worst behavior and the most tiger blood.
I'm by winning. I win here and I win there. Now what?
Have you ever disliked a coworker so much that you considered quitting your job? Freddie Prinze Jr. sure did. In 2014, Prince talked to ABC News about working with Kiefer Sutherland on 24, saying that he, quote, hated every moment of his time on that series, so much so that he considered quitting acting altogether. Apparently worried that might come off as too subtle, he went on to say, Kiefer was the most unprofessional dude in the world. That's not me talking trash. I'd say it to his face. I think everyone that's worked with him has said that. Shorey Ogdoshlu, who had a role on 24 in 2005, wasn't a Sutherland fan either. She told Fox News, I'm afraid working with him proved to be hard. That young man was pretty angry. She also speculated that her disagreements on the 24 set led to her character's death, which was reportedly not initially part of the plan for the show.
There's no doubting that Alec Baldwin is an outspoken man. Whether he's being accused of fighting paparazzi, shouting homophobic slurs, or calling his own daughter names in a leaked voicemail, his private life has a way of being shoved into the limelight on a regular basis. As a number of his co-stars have said, that's just who he is. Shia LaBeouf, who's had no shortage of conflicts all his own, more on that in a minute, famously left the Broadway show Orphans in 2013 because the two actors had clashed so often at rehearsals. And on 30 Rock, his co-star Cheyenne Jackson had one thing to say about Baldwin. What I learned from him was really good comedic timing and don't get in his light. For a guy who got his start playing the adorable lead in Disney's Even Stevens, Shia LaBeouf sure has shed any presumption of innocence in the years since. LaBeouf made his way to the big screen in a big way shortly after the show ended, with major blockbusters like Constantine, I, Robot, and, of course, the Transformers franchise, which kicked his career straight into the stratosphere. After he reached such great heights, though, things changed very quickly, and bizarrely. Shia started taking more avant-garde roles and staged a bunch of strange publicity stunts, like wearing a paper bag that said, I am not famous anymore, and filming himself watching all of his own movies in a row. Clearly, he wanted the world to take him seriously, but his penchant for weird antics and over-the-top method acting has begun to rub people the wrong way. He's even gotten into fistfights with at least two of his co-stars, with Tom Hardy on the set of 2012's Lawless, and again after punching Brad Pitt on 2014's war epic Fury. In both cases,
serious?
his co-stars let it slide where the public was concerned.
Because Shia's got this weird little left uppercut. You got to stay away from him. You got to watch that one.
But the production on Lawless also saw LaBeouf guzzling actual bottles of moonshine to get into character and carving his name into Mia Wasikowska's dressing room door. LaBeouf might not want to be famous anymore, but he's quickly becoming infamous.
What does that mean, infamous?
Oh, Dusty. Infamous is when you're more than famous.
Not quite. But that reminds us. His character history might read like a who's who in likable goofs, but Chevy Chase has something of a reputation as one of the meanest men in showbiz. That rep has followed him all the way from his rock star beginnings on Saturday Night Live in the 70s up to his recent recurring gig on Community. Highlights from his worst moments include getting into a fistfight with Bill Murray and suggesting that former SNL co-star Terry Sweeney, who was openly gay, do a weekly segment where he would get weighed to see if he had contracted AIDS yet.
Oh, sorry. Hi, fellas.
It certainly seems like Chevy Chase has a penchant for rubbing people the wrong way. He even came clean about it in 2012 when he said, "Nobody prepares you for what happens when you get famous, and I didn't handle it well." That may be the understatement of the decade. He might not quite be a household name, but you probably know his work from his unforgettable role in 1987's The Princess Bride.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
More recently, you may have seen him in CBS's Criminal Minds and the Golden Globe-winning Showtime series Homeland. With so much success in film and television, people probably suspect that Mandy Patinkin is a pretty nice guy. But by his own admission, he can be extremely difficult to work with. Before nearly destroying his television career in 2007 by suddenly walking away from Criminal Minds and never coming back, Patinkin was already behaving like a stuck-up starlet. In a 2013 interview with the New York Times, he came clean with his sordid past on the set. Talking about the hospital drama Chicago Hope, Patinkin said, "I never let directors talk to me because I was so spoiled. I was saying, don't talk to me, I don't want your opinion. I behaved abominably." Hey, at least he can admit it. It's almost a cliche now that comedians often have darker sides. And Mike Myers isn't immune to the pressures of being a full-time funny man. Between Wayne's World, Austin Powers, and The Love Guru, Myers' whole brand is over-the-top, outrageously colorful characters, most of whom he's meticulously crafted himself.
Throw me a frickin' bone here.
He's been called a perfectionist on his good days, and on his worst he's been dubbed emotionally needy and difficult. That characterization comes directly from Penelope Spheris, who directed Mike Myers in 1992's Wayne's World. Spheris also told the story of how Mike Myers stormed off the set once because the caterers didn't provide margarine for his bagel.
Kiss your mother with that mouth?
It's easy enough for the internet to hate Gwyneth Paltrow, who's managed to outrage non-millionaire parents everywhere with her lifestyle blog Goop, and has an unfortunate tendency to come across as aloof and entitled. As we hear all so often, Paltrow is just one of those everyday moms, the kind who allegedly refuses to touch other people's shower water at her gym and won't use toilet paper if the roll is already unwrapped. So yeah, her apparently uptight mannerisms have earned her a starring role as a punching bag for celebrity gossip. But she's also difficult to work with for other A-listers too. According to reports from the set of 2010's Iron Man 2, Paltrow made it a point to avoid her co-star Scarlett Johansson during the whole production, and then got angry when she was upstaged by Johansson during the promotional work for the film. Of course, one of her press representatives denied those claims, so it's possible that the story was simply another piece of trumped-up gossip. But when it comes to Madame Goop, who can tell? Few people have become the target of tabloid fodder as completely as Katherine Heigl. In 2008, she publicly bashed her comedy breakout film Knocked Up as sexist, and she also famously declined to be considered for the Emmys because she thought the Grey's Anatomy writers didn't give her enough juicy dramatic material to deserve a nomination. The series creator Shonda Rhimes said afterward of the situation,
"Yeah, on some level it stung, and on some level I was not surprised."
You weren't?
No.
Okay.
When people say who they are, believe them.
Rhimes reportedly declined an offer for Heigl to return to the show after her character's departure. Katherine Heigl wasn't the only real-life pill on the set of Grey's either. Patrick Dempsey, better known as McDreamy, was also apparently suspended once for acting like a diva on set and was killed off on the show not long after that. Dempsey had reportedly clashed with Shonda Rhimes. While he later denied that there was anything but goodwill between him and the cast, that story has since been hard to shake. Desperate Housewives was as dramatic behind the scenes as it was for at-home audiences. The hot ABC show had trouble from the start, and actress Terry Hatcher, who played Susan, apparently took the brunt of the criticism from her castmates, who felt she acted like a diva. Hatcher's co-star Nicolette Sheridan went so far as to call her the meanest woman in the world. After the final episode of Desperate Housewives, Hatcher reportedly stated, "I will never disclose the true and complicated journey of us all. It's probably just as well. Some questions are probably best left unanswered." This action star was basically born to raise hell, and while he's no longer headlining big-budget features, Steven Seagal is still churning out low-budget films left and right, even though he's developed a reputation for not being the best dude around. Steven Seagal has been hit with countless allegations of sexual assault, among other charges, over the years, including one by Under Siege 2 auditioner Jenny McCarthy, who said in an interview that Seagal told her to take off her dress during a private audition, despite the absence of nudity in the film. Yuck. He's also been known to flex some of his silver-screened might on his male co-stars when the cameras weren't rolling. John Leguizamo reportedly claimed that Seagal elbowed him up against a wall with maximum conviction on the set of 1996's Executive Decision, simply because Leguizamo laughed at something Seagal said, thinking it was a joke, when it wasn't.
And he came up and he taekwondo'd my ass against the brick wall. I went...
Over the years, several of William Shatner's former castmates have commented on the Star Trek star's allegedly difficult attitude. He's reportedly upset plenty of co-stars and even caused some feuds along the way. Shatner and fellow Trek vet Leonard Nimoy clashed over scripts and fan mail, and Shatner is said to be excessively sensitive to stories that favored Nimoy. Later in life, the pair patched up their differences, but that belated reconciliation may be a rare exception for Shatner. Reportedly, Shatner and Nichelle Nichols, with whom he shared TV's first interracial kiss, did not get along well at all, and she nearly left the show until Dr. Martin Luther King convinced Nichols of the importance of her role. Shatner later made waves when he refused to appear on stage with James Doohan at a convention in 2004. Doohan's farewell appearance following his Alzheimer's diagnosis. There's also the long-running feud between George Takei and Shatner, who've been at odds, often publicly, for several decades.
There's such a sickness there. It's so patently obvious that there is a psychosis there.
Well, I think his stability is quite questionable.
Really?
Despite being a household name, Wesley Snipes has developed a bad reputation in Hollywood for his on-set antics, most notoriously during the production of 2004's Blade Trinity. According to co-star Patton Oswalt, Snipes insisted on being called Blade and would rarely leave his trailer.
You'd walk by his trailer and this wall of pot stench would just like, whoa, and like kind of push you to the side.
Oswalt also recounted a much more serious incident in which Snipes tried to strangle the director, David Goyer, after which Goyer proposed that Snipes quit, and his stand-in finished the film. This allegedly freaked Snipes out so much that he stopped talking to Goyer altogether.
For a while, he resorted to just he would communicate with post.
Wait, that freaked him out? Why would that freak you out? You left. What you want him to do? He probably thought, oh, you can't finish this movie without me type thinking. And then when they replace his punk ass up to the far end, he's like, what the hell? He got freaked out. That's where the freak out came from. He didn't expect that to happen. That's what happened. Okay.
Post-its that he would give to the director, and each one he would sign Blade.
After filming for Blade Trinity ended, Snipes sued Goyer and New Line Cinema, claiming they withheld part of his salary and didn't allow him to be part of the creative process. He was also allegedly upset because some of his screen time had been reduced in favor of Jessica Biel and Ryan Reynolds. The suit was later settled out of court. After racking up a string of early hits as a Disney starlet, Lindsay Lohan set about compiling a record of partying hard and leaving frustrated directors and co-stars in her wake. On the set of 2007's Georgia Rule, Lohan caused so many problems with her tardiness and no-shows, reportedly costing the production $500,000 a day, that producer James Robinson sent her an ultimatum, saying, quote, "I'm not going to put up with it." In 2012, a source from the set of Glee complained that the actress had been a total nightmare, again showing up several hours late to shoot. It seems that tardiness is a bad habit of Lohan's. A year later, Anger Management co-star Charlie Sheen told Jay Leno that Lohan had been late to the set by several hours, and had later borrowed a couple of bracelets from the production, which the show later deducted from her paycheck. The same year, New York Times Magazine published Here is What Happens When You Cast Lindsay Lohan in Your Movie, a piece chronicling some of Lohan's most unbelievable misadventures on the set of Paul Schrader's The Canyons. Among her offenses, not showing up to set. Big surprise. Though he's apparently become more easygoing in recent years, it's been a hard battle to repair the damage Ed Norton caused to his reputation in the past. That reputation? A supposedly impossible perfectionist who siphons creative control for himself. While Norton is infamous for insisting the producers give him say over the final cut of the 1998 drama American History X, he surged back into the headlines while promoting 2008's The Incredible Hulk. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is generally action-packed, explosive, and witty. But when Edward Norton signed on to play Bruce Banner, he wanted a longer, more nuanced film with a deeper dive into Banner's backstory. Universal put its foot down, and the creative differences spiraled out of control. Norton barely even promoted the film, and took off for a humanitarian trip to Africa after the premiere, arguably harming the flick's box office bottom line. So in other words, you wouldn't like Norton when he's angry.
As Kendall Roy on HBO's Succession, Jeremy Strong stars in one of the biggest shows on television. But as his career has been on a massive upswing, his reputation amongst his fellow actors has taken a bit of a hit. Though he rejects the label himself, Strong is frequently described as a method actor. Phenomenal results can be achieved by remaining in character in this fashion. But the tactics of method actors often rub crew members and castmates the wrong way. One notorious profile on Strong in The New Yorker struck a particularly powerful blow to his public reputation. The profile revealed that while shooting Succession, he was prone to preparing rehearsed speeches and trying to pass them off as improvisation, as well as getting inebriated on set when his character fell off the wagon. His castmates have described his method acting approach as occasionally frustrating or intrusive, but none have been more vocally opposed to his habits than Brian Cox, who plays Strong's on-screen father Logan Roy. During an interview with Town & Country, Cox said that he thinks Strong is a fantastic actor, but that he finds his method acting style to be annoying. Succession is far from the only production where Strong's method acting has been an impediment for others. On the trial of the Chicago 7, he frequently ruined takes by pulling pranks while in character as hippie Jerry Rubin. And for one scene, he requested to be blasted with real tear gas, even though that would have meant putting hundreds of extras and crew members through the same physical torment. Gerard Depardieu is one of the most celebrated actors in the history of French cinema. Having nearly 250 credits in his filmography over the course of 5 decades, Depardieu has played many iconic and acclaimed roles. With such superstardom inflating his ego, he has been known to act as if the rules didn't apply to him. Depardieu committed petty crime in his youth, and he's had plenty of brushes with the law after becoming a star as well.
Did you steal?
Steal?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
His scandals ran the gamut from physical assault and frequent fighting to white-collar crimes connected to his numerous businesses, to a weird incident in which he urinated on a plane.
You were flying to Ireland?
Yes, I pee on the plane, yes.
During the #MeToo movement, Depardieu was accused of sexual assault by more than a dozen women, most of whom were actors or crew members who worked with him. As reported by the Associated Press, 13 accusers came out against him, while also suggesting that his total number of victims was surely much higher since he had a reputation for frequently groping and fondling the extras on his film shoots. Depardieu has often been hailed as one of the greatest actors of his generation, but incredible performances don't justify his actions by any stretch of the imagination. Tommy Lee Jones is a 4-time Oscar nominee and 1-time winner for his role in 1994's The Fugitive. He is known less for his range and more for his reliability when it comes to playing rugged, ornery characters. The dial can shift from violent and intense, such as in films like The Hunted, to comedically slanted, as we see in Men in Black. Regardless, the same core archetype of a curmudgeon is usually present, and as it turns out, this baseline character type is close to home for Jones. In a 2006 edition of Texas Monthly, the actor was profiled in a piece titled "Tommy Lee Jones is Not Acting," which posited that he really is the rude and grumpy fellow that he routinely plays on screen. He is known to be incredibly impolite to the press and the general public, and that behavior extends to film sets. When Jim Carrey appeared on Norm Macdonald Live, he recounted his experiences working with Jones on Batman Forever.
He said he couldn't sanction my buffoonery.
Tobey Maguire is best known for starring as Spider-Man in the Sam Raimi trilogy, and he recently reprised a role in Spider-Man No Way Home. The heroic, morally upright side of the character is allegedly not one shared by Maguire personally. For many years, the actor has had a reputation for being hard to work with and extremely troublesome behind the scenes. His rude, out-of-control behavior on sets has drawn fire from his co-stars, and his public outbursts captured by paparazzi have hurt his image with the general public. Maguire is one of the only successful Hollywood stars to be so incendiary in real life that he became the villain of a woman's non-fiction autobiography and its corresponding film adaptation. The 2017 film Molly's Game tells the true story of Molly Bloom, who ran high-stakes poker games for Hollywood celebrities. In the film, Michael Cera plays an antagonist who goes by Player X. He makes it his mission to destroy Bloom's reputation and livelihood while also being as awful as possible to his fellow players at every turn. Though the character's true identity remains unnamed in the movie, Bloom names him outright as Tobey Maguire in her autobiography. Dustin Hoffman has given some of the best and most influential performances of all time. His roles in films like The Graduate and Midnight Cowboy were instrumental in ushering the new Hollywood movement, completely changing the film industry of the late 1960s and 1970s. One of his most acclaimed films was Kramer vs. Kramer, in which he plays a husband who is left in charge of his young son when his wife leaves him. Hoffman earned his first Oscar win for the role, but his methods for achieving that performance were questionable, to say the least. Hoffman was engaging in hardcore method acting for the role, and took it upon himself to force what he considered to be a stronger performance out of co-star Meryl Streep, who also won her first Oscar for the film. While indulging in frequent improvisation, Hoffman slapped Streep, smashed a real glass against the wall right beside her head without warning, and made low-blow insults about her recently deceased boyfriend, actor John Cazale.
I'm leaving you.
Honey, please. I can't hear.
Far worse than all of his nasty on-set behavior, however, are the numerous sexual assault allegations that have been made against Hoffman. As reported in Forbes, his accusers came into contact with Hoffman through film shoots and his theatrical performances on Broadway, making working with him in any capacity an unpleasant proposition. Jennifer Lopez has drawn acclaim for both her music and her acting, as well as for having led a successful career as a producer. Despite her legions of die-hard fans, Lopez's reputation is far less sterling when it comes to those who have to work with her, not just enjoy her output from a distance. She has frequently been described as difficult or outright impossible to work with professionally. Lopez has shown a tendency to lash out at and insult other celebrities when giving interviews. One of the celebrities that Lopez was most harsh towards was Cameron Diaz, in a now infamous interview with Movie Line. When the two were cast alongside each other in What to Expect When You're Expecting, there was obviously a lot of animosity on set. This was far from being an isolated incident, as there are countless stories of her making life harder for co-stars and crew members, and even members of the general public, such as a hotel maid who she reportedly had fired for asking for an autograph. Lopez has since denied that claim. Laura Flynn Boyle's big breakout role was on the one-of-a-kind television phenomenon Twin Peaks. She played Donna Hayward, the best friend of murder victim Laura Palmer. Boyle starred in both of the show's 2 seasons before it was prematurely cancelled by ABC. When the prequel movie Twin Peaks Fire Walk With Me was released just 1 year after the cancellation, Boyle was no longer involved, although her character still was. The recasting of Donna Hayward with Moira Kelly raised fans' suspicions that behind-the-scenes issues had led to Boyle's removal from Twin Peaks, especially considering the fact that she was the only cast member replaced. When the 2017 revival of the series Twin Peaks: The Return finally came to fruition many years later, Boyle publicly voiced her desire to return to the series. Instead, creator David Lynch purposefully excluded her, despite pretty much everyone else returning. Her behind-the-scenes romances were considered by some to be a hindrance to the series. According to an AV Club interview with Sherilyn Fenn, she allegedly put a stop to the planned romance between the Dale Cooper and Audrey Horne characters because she was dating actor Kyle MacLachlan in real life. Boyle had a few other major roles outside of Twin Peaks, but as word spread of her being difficult to work with, her good roles dried up. These days, her acting gigs are few and far apart, and frequently take the form of trashy B-movies like Hansel and Gretel Get Baked. Casey Affleck is a younger brother of fellow actor Ben Affleck. The brothers have worked together many times over the years, but Casey Affleck's career took a bit longer to reach the heights of his brothers. Still, many film critics considered him to be the superior actor of the two, and the one who has consistently chosen more interesting projects. His performances in movies like The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford and Manchester by the Sea both drew widespread acclaim, and the latter even earned him his first Oscar win.
I'm sorry, Lee. He passed away about an hour ago.
As reported by the Daily Beast, Affleck was accused of sexual harassment by multiple women, including the cinematographer and a producer of 2010's I'm Still Here. The accusations led to a pair of lawsuits that Affleck settled out of court. On the same shoot, Affleck partially admitted to creating an unsafe work environment and that he was rarely sober throughout the production. According to The Guardian, he encouraged his cast and crew to party with him as part of the mockumentary experience. Sean Penn is a 5-time nominee and 2-time Oscar winner with many acclaimed performances, and even a few films as a director under his belt. Over the years, he has developed something of a negative reputation, a fact that Penn has knowingly embraced. In his Oscar acceptance speech for his performance in 2008's Milk, Penn said, "I do know how hard I make it to appreciate me." Penn has also made it clear on other occasions that he knows he can be difficult to work with and even to simply interact with on a personal level. He has been involved in many altercations and blow-ups with the directors of his movies and does not hesitate at all to voice his opposition to their creative decisions. All of this without even getting into his tangled history of domestic abuse allegations and violent altercations in the US and abroad. And while some of them have been disputed by all parties involved, the details remain murky. Morgan Freeman once held a reputation as a kind-hearted man, an upstanding member of society, and a role model for all. Not many actors can claim to be typecast as God, and as the go-to default for narration with one of the most distinctive voices in Hollywood. But after a long and storied career with a gentle and beloved reputation, Freeman was outed as a prolific predator. According to CNN, the actor was accused by at least 8 women of sexual harassment and groping on film sets. Though the news became public during the #MeToo movement that began in 2017, his pattern of inappropriate behavior was well known by those in the industry for years beforehand. A crew member on 2013's Now You See Me revealed that the woman on the shoot all knew to expect unwelcome sexual remarks and touching whenever he was on set. They even collectively decided to wear more conservative clothing in the hopes of combating his advances. Freeman is also known to make film shoots triangle deals for the directors he works with, even in some of his most acclaimed roles. When shooting The Shawshank Redemption, Freeman allegedly refused to do additional takes or follow the script. He also forced the big final moments of the film to be scrapped and changed because he considered them, as he stated in an interview with the New York Daily News, sort of asinine, sort of cliched, sort of unnecessary. If you or anyone you know has been a victim of sexual assault, help is available. Visit the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National
Hey, you're getting in trouble, fuck.
Network website or contact RAIN's National Helpline at 1-800-656-HOPE 4673.
Alright, that's the end of that. So
With
I'm
as
pretty
much
much
time-
done. I'm pretty much done. I'll fix whatever issues that's plaguing this. They're usually minor. And I don't think there's anything serious. I don't think I have to stream this again. But I'm technically done, but I'm not. I have to make some adjustments and make some changes to this per se. So we'll see. Hold on. I'm gonna erase this part. Okay, and then here. Okay. Get rid of this thing here. So okay. Alright. I'll make whatever adjustments later. I'm gonna go play some repo, so I'll be right back. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'll be back on later. I'll make whatever adjustments that Mora wants tomorrow. But I don't think I'm gonna stream it. Most likely I'll be doing traditional work anyway, so I'll see you guys in a bit. And I'm gonna go play repo on stream, so I'll be streaming it only on TikTok and Twitch, so I'll be right back.